Hence, in a way, it is that the most perceptive of all comments about Waterloo is the best known and apparently the most banal, that it was won on the playing fields of Eton. The Duke, who was an Etonian, knew very well that few of his officers were schoolfellows and that football bears little relation to war. But he was not speaking of himself, nor was he suggesting that Waterloo had been a game. He was proposing a much more subtle idea, that the French had been beaten not by wiser generalship, or better tactics, or superior patriotism, but by the coolness and endurance, the pursuit of excellence and of the intangible objectives for their own sake, which are learnt in game playing. That game playing, which has already become the most important activity of the English gentleman's life. Napoleon had sent forward each of his formations in turn. They had been very well led. Many of the British speak with admiration of the French officers' bravery, but they had not been able to carry their men with them in the final step. Each formation in turn had swung about and gone back down the hill. When at last there were no more formations to come forward, the British still stood on the line Wellington had marked out for them, planted fast by the hold officers had taken over, had over themselves, and so over their men. Honor, in a very peculiar sense, had triumphed. Oh, hello, I didn't see you guys there. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. My name is Thomas Hunt. Today is Monday, December 10th, 2018. We're joined by Dan, the Crypto Raptor. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, peeps. It's certainly going pretty good. Pretty darn good. I think it's been a great week for Bitcoin.
It's been a great week for Bitcoin. It's been fantastic to see so many new people getting involved and so many old people just celebrating their involvement with such a joie de vivre, right? Joie de vivre, right? But I found this quote today because it said, the hold officers had over themselves and so over their men. And they're talking about the way the British were able to stand fast during the battle and not give up their lines. Maybe something in that. If you look at that long-term log chart, like everybody seems to be doing this day, the long-term log chart says everything is fine. But of course, the short-term chart says, welcome to your nightmare. But that's, of course, that's a fine because I'm long-term bullish and I'm short-term bearish. So I'm both sides of the fence. Today it will be sunny. It will also rain.
I'm bullish on potential, but is that just speculation? Because I suppose potential for the technology is also speculation.
I think we're seeing the speculation play out. Remember, we're doing price discovery for the world's first online digital money. It's not owned by any corporation, government, or central bank. So all three categories of those people have reason to advertise against Bitcoin, to sponsor competing projects, whereas no one is marketing Bitcoin. No one's selling just Bitcoin, maybe Cash App, as we're going to discuss later. And we're also talking about Amazon. Maybe Amazon will accept Bitcoin. That would give Bitcoin quite a powerful marketing arm. But just in general, no one is marketing Bitcoin but you. So when a price drop like this happens for whatever reason, there's no one out there to say, hey, you should buy this. This is the deal of a lifetime. Because maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. Maybe Bitcoin's a horrible speculative bubble and it's all going to zero, and so on and so forth. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I must say it's, I mean, this time last year, obviously everyone was in euphoria, and I almost feel pretty, not naive, but I kind of knew it was going down. I knew it wasn't going to last. And even at sort of 6K, when my mum always asks me, she always says, is Bitcoin, you know, is it okay or is it dead yet? You know, and I'm like, no, it's still good. The technology's still there. But I just think that it was so silly that in that moment of all that top period of euphoria at $19,500, I didn't think to myself, is this just a bit too over the top? And I just couldn't admit that it was going to go down, even though I knew. And if people asked me, I'd say, yeah, it's downhill from here, and I don't know when until. But it's definitely going to be a different conversation at the dinner table this Christmas.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, I was going to say I'm lucky it's my birthday, so people can't really get peed off of me that much. They can be slightly annoyed and say, "The hell did you tell me to buy?" And I'll say that if you remember rightly, I didn't tell you to buy. I just said that I'm not selling, which turned out to be a huge mistake.
Yeah, last year we were the conquering heroes. This year we're the dumb losers who didn't sell at the top. But once again, to give everyone remember, we didn't know it was the top. A lot of people think that it goes down, so it goes back up, and that it was going to go, 18, 16, 22, 32, right off the top of the chart. Instead, it went 18, 16, it kind of waggled its way back down. Then we had that long 6,000, and then the woof down to where we are now. Here, I can even show you on a chart. I don't have to use hand motions, but I think they were much more accurate than the chart, the hand motions. But that's what happened. Remember the old quote by Rockefeller, how did you go broke, Mr. Rockefeller? Well, at first slowly, and then all at once. So, yeah, we all made mistakes not selling enough at the top, not knowing it was the top, so on and so forth. But a better strategy for next time, I think we'll have to try. If
I
there
think
is a next time, yeah.
one thing that does concern me is that, and I tweeted about this earlier on in the week, that January's historically been a real dump month. I mean, if you remember, I mean, obviously since December it was sort of falling last December, but January really was a dump month. And looking back, since 2013, it's been a dump month. So I'm really keen to, well, I say keen, I'm really interested to see how it plays out, because in January, people are still going to need to pay their tax bills, even though they've lost a shed load. And so how they get that money is whether they sell their house or their Bitcoin. Don't know.
Time to take a loan, right? Lending Club. Go get yourself a loan. Use that to pay off your taxes. Get an extension on your taxes. That's a good idea. Yeah, a little voice told me to sell for taxes at 6,800, but of course I didn't. I never listen to that little voice is my motto. But it's just hard to sell. I think the two strategies that get in your head. One strategy is, this is the largest amount of Bitcoin I will ever have, and you get into this number, and maybe it's a nice round number. We're humans, so we're like, oh, 1, 5, 10, 20, these kind of things. And you're like, 21, and you're like, oh, I have these Bitcoins forever. These are the ones. I'm set, so on and so forth. That makes it hard to sell. The idea that it's always going up, that it's going to be 32.64, that the debt you pay off today could have been paid off in whole by what you sold today to pay it. These kind of things. Your mind gets all messed up. And then also, I think we were in, denial on the way down. It happened really fast, and then it happened slower, and so on. So there are lots of chances to sell. That you can't forgive yourself that much, but you can forgive yourself quite a lot. And you can also remember, if you took anything out of it, you made profit. Normal investors make 3 to 5%. If you made 20, 30, 100, 200, 300%, even on part of your money, even if you didn't take all the profits, you're still a big winner. You're still in this game, and you have the knowledge about cryptocurrencies, a chance to invest in the future, if there is a future. But the log chart says we're fine, right? There's two sides to this. There's people who are like, they've been rooting for Bitcoin to die the whole time, and they're like, yes, it's dead and it's dying. They're very happy. They're the opposite of what we were last year. Last year we were like, yay, we're all gonna retire, like it's great. Now we're all like, we're gonna be sandwich artists at Subway. There's great work available for us in the future. How many pieces of cheese? 3 pieces. Don't put 4. You put 4 pieces of cheese on there, Jones? Jones, you put 4 pieces of cheese. You think the Subway Corporation is made out of cheese? Come on. Get with it. Get the bit. Avocados are not free. Guacamole is not free here.
It's like Shawshank Redemption. In fact, I'm going to do that into a meme or something. When the old timer goes back to the thing and they're like, you forgot to double bag. You should have double bagged.
That's us, dude. We're going to get out of prison. We're like, we're going to do it. Bitcoin's going to go. We told everyone about Bitcoin. We're like, Bitcoin's so good. It's going to go to the moon. And then it goes to the moon. And then it goes back down. We're like, oh, well, like, do you want paper or plastic, sir? Yeah, that's us. But we got to get busy living or get busy dying. Let's see what they're saying in the chat. Which chat is this? I have so many windows. You know what I need is a couple more open windows. David says ranting Andy was wrong. Well, he was off by a little bit. And I said, sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. Fox Quote says life is strange. That's true. And it's interesting, right? Remember, for the long time, we're talking a lot about regrets, and we're talking about the price, and we're trying to be human and honest here and so forth. But for a long time, my big regrets were, not buying at $1, not buying at $30, like letting Bitcoin sit in the back of my mind for 2 years while it became bigger and bigger. And, what I had became smaller and smaller. But, that's a whoopsie. And we went through another big whoopsie here. I can remember the $1,400 run or the $1,200 run, the original 200 to 1,200 kind of thing. And I held the whole way. I held up and I held down, and I could have got a small car, and then pretty soon I could have gotten a down payment on a small car. So, and that was a lesson. And this time, certainly, I took out my credit card losses at the top, which was nice. I should have paid off all my debts. I should have bought a lot more stuff. That's a whoopsie. But a little bit more. I know a lot of people this time. They are newer to Bitcoin to me. They hadn't been through the last one. So they held all the way, because you get this romantic feeling in Bitcoin. You just believe in it so much. You think that Bitcoin is the thing and that there could be no other thing. And then it turns out Bitcoin is the thing, but maybe it's rolling upwards and downwards.
Sorry.
Maybe Bitcoin's rolling and upwards and downwards like the puppy dogs barking. And it's just in it's in its own logarithmic scale. It doesn't matter what we think happens anyway. But we were still checking out the chat. Crypto Sasquatch says he's going to create a whole blockchain for your blockchains and put the blockchain on the blockchain. That sounds like a good idea. Gustavo was asking about MetaNet, the new internet proposed by fake Satoshi that will be a side chain of Bitcoin SV, the true fake Bitcoin. He says, why be humble? Let's peg the whole internet in a blockchain. So I don't know anything about this project. I'm learning about it right here. Obviously, like Gustavo says, it's not looking good, because it's fake Satoshi combined with fake Bitcoin, the Bitcoin SV. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know why you need to peg the whole internet in a blockchain. So it just sounds super fishy. But it is funny that when they say, a blockchain for the blockchain, that's basically Ethereum. A friend of mine described that to Vitalik at a conference years ago, and he was joking with him, and he was like, "Oh, well, why don't I just put a blockchain in a blockchain?" Blah, 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 blah. And Vitalik was like, "You're actually describing Ethereum." It was like a whole thing. So I was like, that was my computer voice. That wasn't really Russian computer. I need to like practice my Vitalik voice if I want to do Russian computer. But no, that's what he said. That's one of the things Ethereum did. They say, enjoyed Vitalik's Twitter rant this morning about non-financial applications of blockchain. Oh, is he Twitter ranting now? We might need to cover this. This could be like our Trump. Vitalik's crazy tweets. What will he tweet next? They say CNN, fake bias, left-wing news. Says, as blockchain scalability gets better and better, it means the next generation of blockchain scalability. Crypto Sasquatch says, welcome to Stripping for Bitcoin. That's right. We've got all the special features. You can put money right there into the chat. We could even try Tally Chat today if you guys want. Tally Chat allows you to accept Bitcoin donations through your YouTube chat. I haven't tried it yet, but we do have a full list of things to check out today. Professor Dr. Hoffman, he's got all the titles, wants to know more about Amazon accepting Bitcoin. He says if there's liquidity in a futures market, they could buy futures at a guaranteed price based on the expected traffic they'd get. So yeah, that does sound like that would go good. Booger's guy says, what's up, Crips and Bloods? Joe wants to be the first gang member on the blockchain. He's going to start an MS-13 coin. The Bloods and the Crips. The Bloods and the Cryptos. Why would you pay taxes if you lost money? I think you still have to pay taxes even if you lost money. And if you lost money, that's profits. You lost profits. You still could be ahead. Jack says he's getting busy dying with Bitcoin. And Gabriel says BSV is the truest vision. Satoshi has such a vision. He needs glasses. What a thing. They're all saying hey in the chat. So we're just checking in with the chat. Remember to like and share the video so that more people will find it and more people will join us in the chat. What do you think, Dan? You ready for today's news?
Oh, I am, definitely. And also, do you want to put out the details if people want to phone in later, call in?
Sure. Well, we
Cash
can
them
do
into the
that
crazies.
when it's chat time. But somewhere around here, I've got the details that you can Skype us at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. We'll do the news if you guys want to. We got Dan here, so if you guys want to do the news slowly, we could do it a story at a time. You guys could call in after we get the stories going. But today is Monday, December 10th, 2018, end of the year, almost time to say 2019. Here on Bitcoin Talk Show, here's what's happening today. The price of Bitcoin, whoop, just shifted right there. It seems like we're having a lot of bouncing movement today. If I can get that zoomed in again, let's see what that was. Ooh, zooming out. So there's
Savage.
some wiggles right there. We have ourselves some major wiggles. Look at that. And then we descended. So the price of Bitcoin is now down 4% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 3,471, a high of 3,683, and a low of 3,443. So we are dipping near today's low. That's $1 for 28,972 Satoshis. That sounds kind of cheap. Bitcoin price collapse set to continue, cryptocurrency analysts warn. But history suggests the end of the crash is near. Classic headline from the Independent. You see the big scary part, and then you see the history suggests the end of the crash is near. Like, oh, way to have it both ways, guys. Nice one. So what do you think, Dan? Is it over? Are we done? Is it, let's see, 85% drop is 29.50. So previously we argued with these guys. We said, no, Bitcoin has value. Bitcoin is a good thing. Even this scary looking Harry Potter gentleman on the side here on the Independence webpage says Bitcoin is a good thing. But still, I think are we a good thing going to 29.50? Dan, you're on the clock. Go.
Well, I mean, like, if the kind of prophecies or the analysis is true, then like the minimum kind of, what is it? Is it the minimum? Is 85% or the that we've
85%
hit before?
full reversal. Yeah, full
Yeah,
all the way up the
yeah.
log, all the way down the log, and
So if you go and buy previous, I mean, I'm not fantastic at TA, but if you go and buy previous kind of trends, then we've got a bit to go to 85%. But I think the thing is with trading is or at least prices is like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. You know, if all the papers are saying it's doom and gloom, then even if you know that the tech's fucking the tech's legit, the tech is legit. Sorry about the F-bomb. The tech's legit, then the price could still go down because everyone's panicking. They're seeing like, oh, you know, the independent, you know, I trust the independents. Well, go on to Coinbase and sell my 0.2 Bitcoin. And then, but millions of people are doing that because they're all believing the crap and the waffle without the kind of the proper information behind it. So, and like, I think one of the biggest attack vectors recently, I don't know if you've seen, but it's it's literally the mining thing. So it's like mining, boils the world, and Bitcoin mining is going to kill everything.
yeah, I love
I
those.
can't remember who it was that pointed out that for a start, Christmas tree lights use more than Bitcoin mining does. I think that it's quite incredible. There's a really good report on Bitcoin mining from CoinShares. And I'll put it in the chat in a bit. And it talks about, they go for a really good study of the mining is broken up. Is renewables, for example, the breakdown. And what they found is that in order to keep competitive, is that most of the actual mining is done by excess or renewables, but which happen to be out of the way of massive, civilizations because of the fact that usually things like giant dams aren't right next to a giant city. So it's a lot more
efficient for them and cheaper for them to use renewable energy. So this kind of myth about coal destroying, Bitcoin destroying the earth is just another bit of pseudoscience that kind of the papers float around. But people see that, they get worried, they don't do their research, and they certainly don't do it as well as CoinShares, and then that's it, bang. You've got the Independent telling everyone that it's crap, and then other people that do research their stuff saying, whoa, actually completely different. And I think that's the same with Bitcoin. The Independent doesn't look at the utility of Bitcoin. It just goes,
Well said, Dan. I agree with that. They're not looking at the
Sorry.
utility at all, just letting it go. But I was just reading what the guys are saying in the chat. AX says he's a soothsayer to traditional markets. The DGI crash follows the BTC crash. Now, as the US markets bleed, Bitcoin has nearly bottomed. As next Bitcoin bulls charge, reestablishment of non-correlation / hedge established. And that would be a good thing if Bitcoin could once again establish that it is a safe haven for money. We're kind of in a thing right now where the stock markets are going down, the Bitcoin is going down, so on and so forth. Simon says, it's dead, Jim. Buddy Time says, there you go. If you lost money, you still owe taxes. Isn't crypto great? You can lose your ass and still owe the government. So that's true of any major investment like this. Remember, in an investment like crypto, you have the chance to win a bunch of money or lose your shirt. So sometimes you lose your shirt and then you owe the government anyway. So we'll just have to see how that is. Morel says we'll be in the bear market for a few more years. Client says, if we go down further, I will have pizza ready, just 10,000 Bitcoin each. Rafterman will be there to buy your Bitcoin. Joe says, whatever I thought Bitcoin was going to do, it ended up doing the opposite. I feel the same. Whenever I go on one direction or the other direction, it does the opposite. Booger's guy kind of nails it. He says, hodlers with 1,000+ coins are calm. Hodlers with 10 or less are panicking. That does seem about right. If you had 1,000 coins, I don't think you'd care much, but still an amazing loss, an amazing temporary loss. Part of the problem, like he says, if you have 10 or less, you probably sold a bunch during this panic, and if it goes back up, you'll have less. So it's going to be harder to get back to where we were before than it is last time. So, oh well, whoopsie. But we're just checking it out. This says, yeah, Tone was right. Andy Hoffman was wrong. Oh, the Hoffman line is still interesting, and it could mean entrance or non-entrance for major players who are, again, looking for something worth $100 billion, that $100 billion value that he was putting out. As far as everyone else, I don't know about the timing. I think to be right, you have to be right on time. Like, for example, if I said the 49ers will win the Super Bowl, well, that's great, right? I'm totally right. Whenever the 49ers win the Super Bowl, and 20 years from now, when they've rebuilt the team, moved it back to the city, so on and so forth, they actually win the Super Bowl, I'll go back and I'll pull up this clip and I'll say, I was right 20 years ago that this would happen. So you got to watch for that. You also have to watch for these. I think it will do this, but it will also do this. These linked things. Because I've heard people, I'm short-term bearish and I'm long-term bullish. So you're both. It's just, you got to watch for that both, especially with the predictions. The other thing about predictions is you just predict both, and you just copy the one part. You say, oh, well, I told you it would go up and down. And then the next day you say, I told you it would go down. So you got to watch out for that. But we're off topic here. Let's get back on the news story. Let's see what else is going on in the Bitcoin news today. Other than the price, cryptocurrencies are like lottery tickets that might pay off in the future. The likes of Bitcoin may well be worthless, but there's a chance they will be valuable someday. Almost as if on cue, the mainstream media talks about exactly what I'm talking about. This is the attitude of a lot of crypto preparation people, a lot of crypto prediction people that, the cryptos are going to go up and they're really valuable and you should get some. Or they're not. I would like to thank Crypto Sasquatch for the super chat. Thanks for supporting us. He says, we may have been mauled like the bears, like DiCaprio and the Revenant. Oh, yeah, there's a movie I need to watch again now. That has a whole new meaning. But we will rise again. Much love, Thomas. What's up, Raptor? Keep fighting the good fight. So thanks to Crypto Sasquatch for supporting the show. And what do you think, Dan? Are cryptocurrencies like lottery tickets? Why does the media only tell you to buy when Bitcoin is 20K, not when it's 3K? Only when Ripple is $3, not when it's 35 cents. Why do we keep going through this?
I don't know, without kind of without getting on the kind of not conspiracy thing, but I don't know. I think that there's probably some influence from players that stand to lose out a lot when crypto is doing good, and so any news that about something technical is going to be misunderstood by a lot of people. And I used to kind of be really into my, skeptics stuff. So I used to I still do listen to Skeptics Guide to the Universe and Skeptoid, and I love my kind of science stuff. And so I really used to get bugged by bad news articles, especially around science and health and medicine. And unfortunately it's ubiquitous. Everywhere you look, there's poorly researched information by people who just literally copy and paste headlines. And I just can't trust anything I see in the news nowadays, and certainly not from one source. There's not a single source that I wouldn't double check on. But it's easy to dragon of hating on something, and Bitcoin something that a lot of people probably got wrecked from, unfortunately. And so there's probably someone who's pretty wrecked in the Guardian, and I've probably had a few kind of bad days, especially hodling and not really understanding how difficult and challenging it is to hodl like a real strong hands person. And so they just write silly articles that are poorly researched and just moan about crypto.
Also, I think it's worth noting, as a media person, it's easier to write about the past than the future. So if you say, wow, Ripple went from, I don't know, less than 3 cents to $3, and you're like, wow, that's awesome. This thing's you should get some, 3 cents to $3. And then, of course, they kill the damn thing. It goes straight down. Same thing maybe for Bitcoin. I've got an article up. Maybe later I'll show it, where it says, oh, Bitcoin's breaking through 19,000. When will it stop? And I also think that Nelly Bulls article from last year, everyone is getting ridiculously rich except for you. That was another big sign that we all should have sold. Like, there's starting to be some schadenfreude, people disliking Bitcoiners because they had made so much. And even though that doesn't directly affect the markets, that kind of sentiment can help bring you down. It's hard to sense these changes, but we did see it. They say in the chat, they say, in the future, we will use cryptocurrency, but it will be Fed coin. Ooh. I don't know. I think according to the science fiction books I've read, probably right. They always call it credits, but for all we know, it was Federal Reserve credits. And, they just didn't say that. And they're always trading cred. But still, remember, in the background, whenever they really need to buy something like, digital interactive, virtual reality, illegal pornography, things like that, whenever you need to buy something really worth buying, or that virtual reality thing that works like a drug, they always have some kind of a secondary background currency to use. And that might be Bitcoin. So there you go. Fed coin, Bitcoin, the world. The thing about Bitcoin that we kind of forget sometimes, because we're used to thinking about things as products. Bitcoin's not a product. It's this network. It's this software. It's running. Like right now, Bitcoin's running. It's been running. It seems like it's going to keep running. So as far as the rest of these things, like FedCoin, wanting to buy incredible virtual reality pornography, whatever else we have going on in the future, Bitcoin is just going to keep running. So if Bitcoin is granting you access to an article, or it's granting you access to a web page, or if it's granting you access to, amazing three-dimensional images or whatever's happening, it's still the same Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin doesn't care, right? Let's see. They say, yeah, they want a sci-fi movie. Well, I think in my mind, I rewrite every sci-fi movie to make it about Bitcoin. So yeah, of course, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about Bitcoin in all those movies. Especially there was that Fox one, like a TV show, and they all had these cuffs on their wrist, kind of like that cuff, right? And they could pay in Bitcoin at these terminals, or creds or sats or whatever it is, minis. So Oh, people are just talking about metaverse in the beginning. It's Satoshi's vision. Are you familiar with spam? I'm familiar with spam. Nice spam.
I was going to say it's like a Jehovah's Witness line, isn't it? Are you familiar with the Lord's Prayer?
Have you
Are
heard
you
the
familiar
good
with the
part about Satoshi's vision? Other visions were false, but I come here to speak you the truth of Satoshi's vision, which is the true. Everyone knows that. Let's see. They say Fedcoin will exist to pay taxes, but Bitcoin will be mainstream one day. And there was another good comment. Let's see. Is this a bull rally? Let's see. No. No, I don't know. 50% sure we're on a bull run. Over 10 years from 1 cent. Yes, very bull run.
Yeah, I think you look at it at that time scale, then it's definitely a bull run.
Definitely. Very bull. And I like this by Inurg T. Shishkoa. He says, how do you know if there will even be a 49ers team in 20 years? Oh, that's a good point. My prediction is getting harder and harder to pick. It's possible that the 49ers never win a Super Bowl again. So I must preface my pick, which again, just clip this part out. Click, edit. The 49ers will win the Super Bowl. Then we do one more like this. Ready? The 49ers will not win the Super Bowl. Okay, now whatever happens, we're good. We got in the booth, Jim. Yes, you got that? Okay, they got it. So yeah, we're good on both sides there. Also, how about this one? One more. The 49ers will not exist in 20 years. The 49ers will exist in 20 years. Just make sure to edit those so they come out separately. All right. They're working on it. The guys say they got it. Bitcoin volatility more than triples on the month amid falling crypto prices. Yay! Volatility. We're going up and down again. This makes it better, right, Dan?
It makes it better for guys who like shorting and guys and gals who like shorting.
The
but
trading community, yes.
Something makes me feel wrong about shorting Bitcoin.
I think shorting it in general is wrong, but is necessary to help us discover the price of things. I think it's negative to vote against something. Like I'd rather vote for Apple and say I support them. They're going to make computers. I hope this works. Than say I'm rooting against Apple. I hope they don't make computers. I hope this doesn't work. But still, from a market perspective, I think we need them on both sides, and they wreck and they get wrecked just as much as we do. They both go ups and downs. So
yeah, of course, yeah. And I think someone actually tweeted earlier about the like world banks are down like massively this year, sort of ranging between 25 and 45% or something. There was a tweet out earlier. So banks aren't really performing that fantastic themselves, especially as they're meant to be stable.
And no one ever takes into account that it takes energy to run a bank. How much energy are banks wasting right now? Can you imagine Christmas tree lights, banks, Bitcoin? If banks all had to shut down, we could save a lot of energy tomorrow. People make this analysis that like the only thing that's important in our society is saving energy. They're like, when I discuss new cryptocurrencies and exciting technology, all I really think about is saving energy. They said to me, sir, do you want an iPhone? Do you want a device that can connect you anywhere in the world to the internet, but it will use energy? And I said, no, I want to save energy above all things. Like stop all progress because we're going to save like that rocket ship they launched yesterday at SpaceX. Obviously used a lot of energy. We're looking for a low energy solution to get into space because it's so wasteful. I mean, it's the same old story. I just think they're making mistaken priorities and they're not seeing what goods could come from having a stable, non-government, non-bank, non-corporation cryptocurrency. The thing about Bitcoin, it doesn't care what you think, what I think, what the bank thinks, what the corporation, what the government thinks. Just that alone is enough. The fact that we've set this spinning top of motion with no corporation to keep the upkeep, no government to keep the upkeep. Imagine this thing keeps running. It's been running 10 years now. It runs another 10 years. That's just an amazing project in itself. It's practically a perpetual motion machine, right? The way that the incentives work. the reason people keep mining Bitcoin, the reason people keep buying, so on and so forth. See, David in the chat says we could build a space elevator. That's right. And we could take Bitcoin for tickets. Don't need a ticket booth. You just sell the tickets right there. Get right on the booth. Boom.
I actually in January this year, I when things were doing pretty darn good, very briefly, I actually emailed Virgin saying, can I book a Virgin Galactic trip with Bitcoin? And they kind of gracefully got back to me a few months later and said no.
Well, I remember a long time ago, during one of the first Bitcoin runs, probably the 1200 run, a flight attendant who'd heard about Bitcoin from a passenger went and bought some, had it go up crazy in value, bought a ticket on Virgin Galactic. And it's been, in my mind, a little controversy ever since then because, you know, the price went back down to 200. So they had a chance to rebuy. But of course, no one rebuys. Look at yourself right now. Are you rebuying? No, you're freaking out. Remember this later. If it goes up or down, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that was the point where rebuying would have been good, or it would have been a complete disaster piled upon a disaster. But yeah, this flight attendant bought a ticket, and to my knowledge, they still haven't been to space yet. So seeing Bitcoin go to like 10,000 and 20,000 must have broken their heart because they're just holding a ticket to space. So I don't know. I hope Virgin gives them something. They were also they were a flight attendant on Virgin, on the Virgin Atlantic or Virgin Megastore airline, whatever it's called.
Something like that.
Something like that. Kevin Branson, something like that. Let's make some friends. A Bitcoin exchange boss, well, let's just call him who he is, CZ from Binance, now based in Malta, thinks that Jeff Bezos will trigger the next Bitcoin bull run. What do you think? He expects Amazon's retail giant to be the next catalyst for a Bitcoin run. They have a picture of Jeff Bezos looking like a space alien right here. I don't know where he is in this picture. Looks like some strange technology warehouse type thing underground, very well lit. And CZ says the next bull run. Oh, this is good. We're just quoting and responding Twitter right now. This is more of the Vitalik and CZ Twitter. Like maybe tomorrow we'll just do a show about CZ and Vitalik's Twitter, get ahead of all these articles because that's where the news is. And what will trigger the next bull run? He says maybe CZ should buy all the Bitcoins. Oh, now there's a good idea. Just have an outside source buy them so they'd go up. He says, I can't. Jeff Bezos can. So not really article worthy, more of like a joke. But I like the way that this article has led everyone to say, wow, Bezos is buying Bitcoin. Amazon is buying Bitcoin. Amazon's using Bitcoin. All of this.
Are they still accepting Bitcoin? Didn't they accept Bitcoin for a while?
No, Amazon never accepted Bitcoin. There's a bunch of websites.
Oh, the vouchers.
You can buy gift cards. Yeah, there's a whole like gift card exchange and some other gift card exchange, and there's a lot of shady stuff going on in gift cards, so you can get them for cheaper at certain places, so on and so forth. Do your own research at your own risk. Blah 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 blah. But everyone's all fired up about Amazon. You want to know what really will send the price of Bitcoin up is the halvening. That's right, the halvening, which looks like right now it's scheduled for May the 26th of 2020. So all we have to do is wait till 2020 and we'll see what happens. As the article says from Forbes, even Forbes agrees with me, a Bitcoin halvening is 2 years away. Here's what will happen to the Bitcoin price. Well, they've got all their numbers off because of the adjustments recently. But if you look at this chart here, the original recent Bitcoin halving, the price was at 12. So then it bumped up right here to around 300. This is the 300 run. Well, I'm not sure what that is, but we went to 300 in 2013. You can't even see it on that chart. That's that bump right there. That's the 300 2013. Then we had the 2014. That's the 1200 run. That was really nice. then back down to like 200. Second Bitcoin halving, the price was $600. So that seems pretty low. And again, look how it doesn't happen right after the halving. So it's still going to take 6 months to a year after the halving. There's even a possibility people will price this in, that they'll invest in Bitcoin before the halving to make sure they get a handle on it. And then we have after this the 600, 1200 dip. I don't know what that is. That's about 5,000 dip. And then this totally insane 18,000. And then whoop, 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 right back down. But remember the halving, which is where we see, oh, that's fun. It won't stop. All right. The halving is when the amount of Bitcoin being produced goes down by half. So every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin being produced, right now, every 10 minutes, miners get, I don't know, 25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes, Dan? Are we still in 25? No.
It's still 25.
Oh,
Is
it's
it?
still,
Yeah.
no, it's got to be 12 and a half.
12 and a half. No, it's 12 and a half.
It's got to be 12 and a half. I'm a zillion years old. But so you're
Yeah,
12 and a half every 10 minutes. In 4 years on 2020, that'll go down to 6 and a quarter. So every 10 minutes, 6 and a quarter Bitcoin will be produced. So this is like half of the gold mines in the world shutting off. This is the deflationary aspect of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin were inflationary, this would go up. So we would have an anti-halving where the amount of Bitcoin being produced would double. This would cause the price of Bitcoin to continuously go down, which is how the dollar works. Whenever the US government needs money for something, they print more and the value of the dollar goes down. So we do have to wait. So yeah, 12.5. So we'll be going down to 6 and a quarter, followed by in 2024, we'll be going to what? 3 and whatever, eighth or whatever. So we'll keep going down.
Do you think there's enough data at the moment, though, to really show that the halvenings have that much of an impact?
Well, I mean,
I'm always thinking it could be coincidental at this stage because there's only 2 instances.
There's only been a couple. I mean, it went from 50 to 25, 25 to 12 and a half. And then now we're looking for the 12 and a half one. So there's only a couple. But just in general, what this is this is the supply of coins. One of the reasons people believe that we went up to 18,000 is there weren't enough coins on the market. So when people went out trying to buy them, they couldn't buy them, and then they would pay more because they couldn't buy them. So literally reducing the production will or should drive up the price in some way. It might not be enough, and it just, we'll have to see. Moving on.
So yeah, so Danny says that Danny from the chat says, Danny Bruce says that halvening always gets priced in before. And I think that that seems a lot more logical now that people know about the halvening. They kind of would prepare for it and price it in. But what is interesting, I think, if what happens if the halvening happens and Bitcoin's price hasn't recovered, how do you think that's going to impact on the hash rate? Because suddenly the miners will be getting half.
Well, in general, remember the miners are a long-term contract, right? So you decide beforehand, we're going to mine for 6 months, we're going to mine for 2 weeks, whatever it is, till we run out of money, and we've planned to do this. So as we see the contracts come up, the miners make their own decisions. So right now we had a hash rate drop, probably because miners who started mining a year ago or 2 years ago said, well, we gave it a try, and that cryptocurrency mining's a tough business, and they had to give up. So in the same thing, just whenever their contracts run up, whenever their plans or their saved up money runs up, they have to make their decision. The only problem with the halving that I'm seeing looking ahead, of course, we always want the price of a Bitcoin to stay above the cost of mining a Bitcoin, right? The price must stay above the cost. Otherwise, miners will be mining at a loss, which is still possible at the point of, let's say if Amazon was really using Bitcoin, they could mine Bitcoin at a loss so that people could keep using it. We don't have that kind of usage right now. But people may or may not continue to mine at a loss. So the first problem is if the price is so low that people have to stop mining because it's a loss. Also, the halving kind of doubles the price of Bitcoin. Essentially, it has to double, right? Because we're losing half the production. But right now, if it doubled from 3 to 6, people wouldn't be that exciting. Sure, it would save the miners, but it wouldn't save the speculators. To save the speculators, we need one of these insane runs where it goes to 18K, or even now they're saying more like 20, 24, 32, 60, 100. It starts to get up into those. So we'll just have to see how it goes with the price and the halvening. But traditionally, supply goes down, things should go up, right?
Indeed.
Very good.
Apparently.
Let's see what else. Let's see what else we got on the old news. How did Twitter CEO Square overtake Coinbase as the #1 Bitcoin buying app? And I like this article because it frames it directly against Coinbase. So that gives us something good to talk about. Let us know in the chat if you support Square or Coinbase. I already know what the answer is going to be. But Dan, why did Coinbase do this? How did Square sneak up on them?
Well, I think that, you know, Twitter's Jack is pretty influential. So all he needs to do is tweet that you know, about his services, promote them, and he's got a lot more of a reach, I think, than Coinbase.
I also think simplification. Cash App has stuck with Bitcoin. They're only selling you one cryptocurrency. It's not a cryptocurrency trading application. It's not a marketplace of these things. And what we've seen with Coinbase since the beginning of the cryptification of Coinbase, and you can go back a few years ago when they first started all of this altcoin madness, I predicted they would become like Cryptsy. And they just did, really, with their announcement that they're considering 30 new altcoins, including quite a few DCG participants. So yes, people who invest in Coinbase are people who get their coins on Coinbase. You wouldn't expect anything different. That's business. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that is the case. And you know, meanwhile, we have Cash App over here making a simple, easy to use Bitcoin app, only selling Bitcoin, using it in their back end, and beating them to the top. I think it's a great lesson on Coinbase, and it's so funny to see Coinbase continue to chase their own tail. First, they saw that Poloniex had all these altcoins, so they're like, we're going to get into the altcoins, we're going to make money this way. Then they were too late to that. Now they saw that CZ and Binance and these guys have all the ICOs and all the crazy listings and the virtual land listings, and you can buy coins that represent virtual land in a video game that has been built. Sucker. But you can do whatever you want at Coinbase now. So yeah, they keep chasing these things. And it seems to me they keep missing the profit. And now you got to imagine them in their offices. They're like, #1 Bitcoin buying app. That should be us. We're #1. And it does make a great point that with Circle, I think you can use a credit or a debit card maybe. Because they don't have to do those deposits because it's a different type of exchange, or because people are already linked to Square or already linked to Cash App. They don't have to do as much KYC, something like that. They're making it easier. Because I tried that Coinbase app recently and it's way too hard to use. It hides the buttons from the users several times. It asks them so many questions. They don't understand why they're being asked all these questions. It doesn't work you through it like, you know, oh, hey, let's get started. Put your address in. It's like, no, put all of your information on one giant form, because why? There's no kind of like walking you through the process, and there's no way to just buy $20 worth. I'm still looking for a 3-step app. You know, account, scan your card, buy $20, done. It will figure out the rest later. Like, you don't need KYC and 2FA and all this stuff for $20. Like, get them $20. They can go. How much damage can they do with $20? As well as we've always said, you can get cash at the ATM and go buy all kinds of horrible things, and no one holds the bank accountable. There's this horrible video out there on the internet of Philip Seymour Hoffman, the great actor, and sadly overdosed on heroin. We can see his last hours thanks to a security camera in a supermarket where he was using the ATM. He could only get like $500 every 20 minutes. So he has to wait there over and over again until he gets enough money to go buy the heroin that he overdoses on. So was the bank held accountable for Philip Seymour Hoffman's death? As a cinema goer, my life is worse. The world's a worse place without Philip Seymour Hoffman. And the banks are responsible. Instead, we went after the Dread Pirate Roberts, and we went after Charlie Shrem, and we go after Bitcoin. So I don't think that's right.
On the Coinbase thing, did you see Jackson Palmer's tweet about the fact that they've still got the, if you invested $100 in the Coinbase fund, I think it's like, it's still on there, and it still says that you're gonna be like 80 odd % down.
It says you actually would be down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh yeah, the marketing. So they left up the marketing, and that's the thing I keep seeing about Coinbase. I know they're a massive organization, and I don't understand what it's like to work at such a large company with so many irons and so many fires. But the little things, they never seem to catch the little things, and it's too bad. People are saying, Joe in the chat says, every time I walk a newbie through Coinbase, I always have to be there to walk them through it. If I don't walk them through it, they end up giving up. It's too hard for newcomers, and it really is. So Cash App, big opportunity to improve on that, may have taken it, as we're seeing in the current app charts on iTunes. Bitcoin mining giant BitMain is collapsing, and it only has itself to blame. Now, just for the record, we don't have a full terminal collapse here. This is more of one of those early collapses where even I would say these journalists are being sensational with their headlines. It says, the Israeli research and development arm of cryptocurrency mining giant BitMain will close, resulting in the firing of 23 staff due to market turmoil. Once again, the 23 enigma. Why 23? But more on that later, maybe in the end. But yeah, Israel, BitMain is closing their Israeli operation. This is not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's unfortunate that people are losing their jobs. But when we couple this together with BTC King 555 on Twitter and his interesting tweets, allegedly from BitMain insiders, we see in less than a year, BitMain went from the industry's most profitable to most money losings. Why? The wrong bet on BCH, the over order of old wafers with TSMC. They have a lot of old chips around. They can't sell them. They're not as fast. People aren't buying them. Top chip designer team left, failed, delayed new chips, shady corporate governments. It's truly been a year of the dog for BitMain. So we are watching this. What do you think, Dan? Is BitMain going to collapse? Some say they're trying to save themselves with the IPO, and that if the IPO and the roadshow come through and they raise this money, they'll slowly sell off their BCH and they'll build new products and everything will be fine. What do you think?
I don't know. It's kind of all speculation. You know, everyone's kind of trying to figure out what's going on behind closed doors, how much they're holding of what. At the end of the day, they're still the largest, Bitcoin mining producer in the world. And I don't know. As much as I think that they've caused a lot of hassle, which certainly Jihan has with the Bitcoin Cash fork. At the same time, I think that there's a bit more speculation on how badly they're doing than I think we think. It's easy to spread doom and gloom, but I'm sure they're pretty clever guys who have kind of hedged their bets, a reasonable amount.
It's also worth saying this would be bad for Bitcoin, even if we don't like BitMain. Even if BitMain tried to take over Bitcoin with the 2x and the Bitcoin Cash and then the Satoshi Vision and then the whatever else, all of these negative things, in the same way we still have this big news story, BitMain, massive internet Bitcoin company goes down. They blame Bitcoin for it. They blame Bitcoin for the management. Somehow, whatever it is, Bitcoin is responsible, even though we know it's not. And I know you guys, no, it's not us. Oh, BitMain is bad. No, it would be a bad story for Bitcoin. So it would be negative.
Yeah.
So I'm not rooting for it, even if I think BitMain might be the evil monster trying to take over things. It's like, we need them, but we need them to make mining gear, not to try to take over things. I heard this other interesting rumor that a BitMain machine, when you take it home and you plug it in, that it's already configured to mine for BitMain. So if you don't understand how to configure your machine and you do it wrong, you could end up accidentally mining for BitMain until you figure it out. So that's just the thing I've heard. It was funny. I was watching old Mad Bitcoins videos yesterday, and there's so many of them. And it was all Butterfly Labs. And it was like, I want to get my Butterfly Labs 2013 miner, and it's going to be so awesome. And the same way that BitMain made their machines allegedly mine for themselves before you configure them, Butterfly Labs just kept the machines and just mined for themselves. And you know, maybe they're testing. Everyone's like, burn testing. We have to test the machines before we send them out to you customers. And then they were like, no, we're not going to send them out. Let's see what the chat says. Enoch says, yes, BitMain will survive. Jack says, Fidelity Investments will make everything easier for crypto investing in 2019. I would agree with that. I looked at their website yesterday, like we were talking about on the online here, and it looked very nice. They were doing a very organized, great looking push for Bitcoin and crypto assets. T Van says,
they're mining Ethereum as well, apparently. I remember seeing an
interesting.
article. Yeah. So apparently it was on fortune.com.
Have they been able to run a full node?
I don't know, but I have my full node and Lightning node on order from Nodlet.
Oh, nice!
So I can't wait to get that. Yeah,
very
can't
cool,
wait
man. Supporting an independent little company there. That's nice. Yeah, I haven't ordered one yet. I'm still bummed on everything. I'm like, I don't have any money. I can't buy anything. Like, you know. So, but yeah, both the Casa Holda and the Nodelet, as Dan was saying, are great little full nodes that you can get that'll run Bitcoin and Lightning. Very much the future. If you want to be a part of the Bitcoin network, you want to support the Bitcoin. And it sounds like, I haven't tried them, but both of these are just plug it in next to your router. So even if you're not very technical and you don't think that you need a Bitcoin node to run your own transactions, you would just want to support the network. You can do that with Nodelit or Casa Hodl. So check those out. Let's see what they say in the chat. T-Van says, no one lost more money in this bear market than BitMain, so don't feel so bad. That is a great point. You want to talk about being on top of the world now. You know, sure, some of us have lost a lot of money and it hurts. And I know people and everybody's stressed out there. And I just want to make sure everyone knows that you're on the same team and that people are looking out for you. And there's other people out there that have the same problem that, you know, we all should have sold more at the top. You know, we whoopsied that one. This might be one of those bottoms where we say, oh, we wish we bought more. But I think the same kind of thing, dollar cost averaging, going in 10% at a time, going out 10% at a time, having a plan. One of the things I want to have a better plan. Like if it goes up 300 times, I'm going to sell 10% or 50% or something. And if it goes up another 300 times, I'm going to sell another 10%. And some kind of a plan to get in and out of these things better would be good. Booger's guy says BitMain will survive because they're entering verticals like Chinese takeout. That's pretty interesting. I know at one point, even with the BCH and so on and so forth, they had so much Bitcoin that they could have just, I don't know, become 100-year company. They could have said, well, we're going to do exactly what we're doing now for the next 100 years. So that'd be interesting. They say, Rolando brings up a good point. He says, Tesla survived multiple times. Why wouldn't BitMain? That is good. There's a certain momentum if you get big enough. They're a big company. China wants them to survive. China wants them to mine. Maybe that's enough. We don't know. Crypt Loco says, BitMain is only correlated with mining profitability, but their units are selling like crazy aftermarket because they do KYC now. So that is interesting. There's a different market developing for KYC miners versus non-KYC miners. I wonder if junk or old miners will especially be interesting one day because you can get them without KYC, even though you have to run them at a loss. I don't know. I think the loss would be pretty bad. I don't think we're going to be plugging in old miners anytime now. Lewis says BitMain will survive, but they'll be a lot smaller with other companies producing miners like Samsung, Dragon Miner, and so on and so forth. That sounds pretty good. Let's see. Saying you might need a static IP address for a Lightning node. Sounds like an interesting technical issue. I know a lot of oh good, I'm on all the cameras now. I know a lot of IP addresses that you get with like a cable modem won't be static, so that every time you connect to the internet, it has a different IP address. A lot of the times you end up with a static anyway, because they just don't change it all the time, but sometimes you'll reset and then all your things will break. So we don't know. When Bitcoin was 15K, everyone he knew was asking him how to buy it. And that's not true anymore, is it? That's not. Although again, the smart ones buy now. The smart ones say, well, I'm going to start dollar cost averaging, and yeah, maybe 3,000, 1,800. You know, you dollar cost average. You put $100 in now. You put $100 in then. They average out. It's all right. Other people disagree. They say you might not need a static IP. Because yeah, almost no one has a static IP, as Jeremy says. I agree with that. Unless you're hosting your own server at home, what are you doing?
But you can set up with that though. Surely you can set up like a VPN if you're using because I use VPNs with static IPs for wallets and for running nodes, etc. So even if you don't have a static IP at home, in theory, you could spin up a VPN and have the VPN go for spin up a VM, sorry, and have the VM go for a VPN.
Sounds like the chat agrees with you. Also, We Smoke Bitcoins has started bottling his pee. That's an important update about
there you
how
go.
bad the market's getting.
Yeah, so VPN or DNS can be set up on the Lightning node itself. It's cool.
Nice, nice. Very cool. And I think we might be out of news. Let's see. Oh, we got one more. Bitcoin price watch. Break above 3,700 could push Bitcoin higher. I remember we're now just in a horrible trader controlled world where we need to break this line so we can break that line so that we can break this line so we can get out of this channel and that channel and so on and so forth. If only the MACD would rise above the RSI with a major support level of resistance. Looking at the chart with an hourly SMA and some more squiggles. So based upon the squiggles, we need to rise above 3,700. So go Bitcoin, go. We also have actual analysis here from our man, Nick Cote. Nick says there's 3 options for the next move from top to bottom: ultra bull, normal bull movement, and fuck you, Bitcoin. So as you can see, he's drawn them here, Dan. This is a very strategic and a very detailed chart. You can see number 1, that's good for Bitcoin. Number 2, normal Bitcoin movement. And number 3, FU Bitcoin. So.
Cup and handle. I haven't heard the term cup and handle for so long. It's been a while since cup and handle's been said on Twitter.
We need
it used to be the in thing of 20 to 17 was like, oh, I'm a cup and handle. Now it's just like my upside down leaking cup.
Oh, everything leaked out of my cup. There was so much more there. We have some more Twitter if you guys want to go through it. Otherwise, you can always call us now. Let's go ahead and put that number out again. We pretty much did the news. We've got some more news. They're asking Dan for more rap songs. Come on, he's not like just a monkey, just doesn't perform for you. But maybe we can get some more rap songs out of Dan. We were talking about maybe setting up Dan with a tally coin, try to get Dan to visit Las Vegas. I'm of course down to do it live on the air. All you need to create a tally coin is a Bitcoin address and a fundraising goal, something positive. But you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. We've got the world right here. We've got all of the people that called in. You could be joined to this map. We say, oh, I'm in Canada, or oh, I'm in Ohio. We can look at the track of Mustafa everywhere that he goes, all the way to Texas. Wow. Mexico, Jose, all the people that have called Bitcoin Talk Show. Look, there's even some in Europe too. Oh, wow. Google Earth. That was a great error. It was like I flew out into space and I was like, Google Earth. Unfortunately, the world has been destroyed. So what else is going on in Bitcoin today? Jeremy says in the chat, and we talked about Trace Mayer's proof of keys site. We haven't talked about it yet. I generally support the idea. I'm not sure if this is the right time for it. And then also, I'm not sure I support the idea.
Why is that? I mean, I'm all for it, partly because I'm not going to lie. I had a load of nano on BitGrail in January, and there's nano more, shall I say? I lost it, so and a lot. So I kind of like the idea of this taking this incentive to take all your Bitcoin offline and hold it in your own sort of wallets. And if people don't know what Trace is referring to, he's referring to the fact that when your Bitcoin's on an exchange, you don't own the private keys, so that exchange can go down and you don't have any money left, Bitcoin left. Whereas if the Bitcoin is in your own private keys, which you're holding very, very tightly and carefully, and you've got backups and in a good way.
That's where it falls apart for me.
Yeah, but if you've written it down on a bit of paper,
if you only do this and you do all this, and it's like I think not that this is a thing, because I know Chase is a good guy and I've met him a couple times, but if I was an evil Bitcoin genius, I would try to convince more people to hold their own keys, so that they would lose their money, so that the price of my Bitcoin would go up more. Because I just think we're at such an early state, and the people are so technically not ready, that a lot of this, like, hold your own keys, could be lose your own money. Like January 3rd, everyone, let's get together and lose your own money. And part of it, yes, I hope people buy Trezors and ledgers, and that they're responsible, and that they have backups and they store them in safe places. But even then, I just described 3 or 4 things. Most people can't even get breakfast. Most people can't, like, shopping at the store to get food is the most popular activity I think that we do. And it's only because if we didn't get food, we would die. So, but I don't know. Tell us in the chat. What do you guys think? Should we have people distribute their keys? Again, I'm not supporting the idea. I'm just saying there's a potential danger there. I want to be clear. Booger's guy says, hold your own keys so you can't panic sell. That is a good point. It is harder to sell your coins that are on cold storage. Then again, when you're at the crazy top, it also stops you from selling into profit. Because I know I've definitely had that. Oh, I have this amount in my private wallet. I'm never going to open that up. Never again. Never, never, never. And you never all the way through the tops, and then it goes down, and you're like, uh-oh, need money. Like, magic numbers don't matter. Need money. So yeah, it's we're learning about it, and it's also, we need to separate to this idea from, like, a Bitcoiner always holds. Like, a Bitcoiner does what's right for his family. Okay, so he stopped hodling, or mad Bitcoins doesn't support. No, I mean, hodl got us there, and maybe it'll get us there again. And I know for a lot of people who hodled through several of these wiggles, you're like, I'm great, hodling's awesome. Like, but these wiggles are hard, and if people needed to sell to protect their family, or even now, if you think it's going down, you think it's going up, whatever, you need to get 10%, 30% out to cover bills for the next few months. You got to do what you got to do for your family. You're still a good Bitcoiner. You still believe in it. You got to sell to make the bills. You got to sell to make the bills. Let's not be, I know it's easy to be a jerk on the internet, but let's try to be less jerky, because people have bills stuff. It's not, and like the guy said in the chat, he's like, yeah, if you have 1,000 coins, you don't care. Yeah. Like, if you have 1,000 coins, you don't care. Most people have like 1 coin or like less than that. So let's see. They're talking about the coins. I wanted to see what you guys thought. Jeremy says you got to distribute your keys for redundancy. I think maybe part of this idea is if Trace would start smaller, like, you don't have to hold all of your keys, but maybe you could hold your keys for $100. Everyone should hold their keys for $100, and that's cool. Now, part of your money's off the exchange, so if you lose it, you could go to like a couple really nice dinners, or almost get a PlayStation, something like that. You could, bribe the guy at Subway to make you the next sandwich artist. You save that 100. It's a good one.
What if Trace is actually part of a conspiracy to make people put their Bitcoin offline, and then he's going to be able to dump all of his, and everyone's going to be scrambling for their private keys, like, no.
January 5th is National Put Your Bitcoin Back Online and Panic Sell Day. 3 days ago, you learned about the importance of holding your private keys. Now it's learning about the importance of panic selling, freaking out, and sending all your money back to an exchange. So yeah, I do think, I know it's not true, but I think it's a funny thing to think possible that, yeah, he's just doing this. And then what's great too is maybe he has enough money to just dump on the market. He's like, I have tricked everyone to take their money off exchanges. Now I will move my money to exchange and crush them all. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah. Seems possible. They say it's likely. We're checking it out. They say hide your keys so you can't panic sell. Hide a copy at your parents' house. This guy found a $50 bill at Disneyland, but was it Disney cash or was it just boring American money? I only take Disney cash. Drinking some water here. No keys, no Bitcoin. Well, true, but also no Bitcoin, no keys. I don't know. Goes both ways. They're offering
That's a Bob Marley remix there, surely. No Bitcoin, no keys. No Bitcoin, no keys.
It's more like holding Bitcoin, more cry.
Yeah.
Let's see. Don't put all your coins in one wallet. That's good. Don't put it in all one wallet. Don't put it in all one thing. Trace wants to prove which exchanges are running full reserve. Nice comment by Danny Brewster. Excellent point there. Even can tie that one back. Not to say anything negative about Trace, but he does invest in Kraken. So if Trace was rooting for Kraken and suggesting they have full reserves and wants to maybe test some of these other exchanges, maybe even test them against Kraken, that sounds like a good reason for this. It's kind of I didn't hear about the thing, and it's kind of a simple website, but maybe it gets bigger and better. I think January 3rd also isn't that the Bitcoin day. They turned on Bitcoin
Genesis
for the first
block.
time, Genesis block day.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's a good. I like adding it in. I also say just maybe we could add up. Gosh, what's the other thing? Oh, back up your computer. I always tell it's hard for me to even think now because my Mac sometimes backs up automatically. But let's add back up your computer and use a password manager and use 2FA. That's too many things. But maybe just general security on Genesis block day. General security would be a good idea. Danny's saying Trace has spoken about it publicly. That is his reason. Okay.
Interesting.
So Trace is testing all the exchanges. He wants to count the Bitcoin. I've seen a lot of articles recently about fractional reserve Bitcoin. Woo, 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 woo. Dan, what do you think if a bank holds Bitcoin and loans out the same one Bitcoin twice? Does that create a new Bitcoin or does that create a lying bank?
Okay, creates a massively lying bank. And I read that this morning, that article. I think it's MasterCard that have applied for a patent on fractional reserve cryptocurrency. And I threw up inside. But the fact is that they can actually do it. I mean, if they're allowed to do it with fiat money, they can do it with non-fiat. And yeah, it's a sad thing. It's kind of the entire thing that Bitcoin was created to and yeah, it's being leveraged against Bitcoin or potentially.
Well, and again, the path to Bitcoin being the world's money. Everyone's all like, Bitcoin's created, Bitcoin's better, therefore it's the world's money. Done. Wrap that one up. Good thing we still got time for golf, but in the rest of us, for the real world, we always knew it was going to be a challenge. We always knew it was going to be a quest and so on. But we didn't know how fast it was going to be. No one knew that in 5 years, you would have been regretting it hard not buying. And then in 10 years, you would have been regretting it hard not buying, or maybe not selling too. And then that the technology would be so blown up and that all these copycat coins and all these institutions being interested, but not really interested, but not really interested. And we would go so fast, right? That's why I think people feel like it really could be happening. But before we get there, before we get to everyone accepting Bitcoin, we have to go through all of the phases for everyone that's just joining now, even the companies. So Amazon has to create their own coin, have it go up, have it go down, have it fail, have it not work, and then go to Bitcoin. It's possible Amazon's a very smart company. They could skip that step. Most other companies, the government, so on and so forth, they'll have to go through those steps. So government makes their own coin. It works pretty good. It has some problems. It goes up, it goes down. Bitcoin's still there. People are like, yeah, maybe we should use Bitcoin because it's simpler. Basically, everyone who has an interest in using the existing system, they make money from it. They have a reason not to leave. They have no reason to join the new Bitcoin system, except for the fact that Bitcoin keeps running in the background. It's not influenced by anyone, so it doesn't benefit everyone. A lot of our systems seem to be pay to play. I'll give you 150% of tokens for your 100%. And now you can sell the 50% on the first day and cover your investment. It seems to be things people work in the background. But Bitcoin's out there. If you mine me, you can have some. If you trade for some from someone else, you can have some. That's it. I don't care. Bitcoin doesn't have any special deals. We don't have anyone lining up the booth babes for Bitcoin. We don't have any, right? We can't afford anything. Bitcoin's got me marketing for free and a bunch of other people marketing for free, and that's the most that we can afford. So like Trace is out there marketing Bitcoin for free. He's supporting the idea of holding your own keys. And apparently he wants everyone to pull their money out of exchanges to see if the exchanges crash. Oh, which seems kind of diabolical, but kind of fun, like a yo-yo. Like, I mean, you just put the money in, you take the money out, you put the money in, you take it out. I mean, it's a little Lex Luthor. Once again, we're seeing some interesting demonstrations of what people would do with $1 billion, right? Roger Ver, still really uptight, even with $1 billion. Like, I don't know if Trace has $1 billion, but he's using it for the good of the community to support this Hold Your Own Keys Day. But he's also like testing out the exchanges. So you get to see a little bit of the character and the personality of these people. Roger is a billionaire, but he's creating his own currency. He's running his own Bitcoin. He's got his own website, bitcoinbitch.com, where he tells everyone all the important bitch news about his currency and how it got forked by some other bitch. So he's all about that. That's what he decided to do with his $1 million. And with our $1 million, we decided to, lose it all and then hang out with you guys. So and we didn't even get there. We didn't even get close to that. But no, they're saying, yeah, Roger is still a billionaire. I don't know. They say you can kind of use Bitcoin on Amazon with some websites. There are some websites you can trade for gift cards and other interesting exchanges to buy things on Amazon at your own risk. Do what thou will, be the whole of the law, as they say. What do you think, Dan? Is anyone going to call us in today? I was going to give us one more shot on these calls before we go through some more news and some more Twitter. Is Roger still a billionaire, and will anyone call? Keeping in mind, Dan, that Roger just saved a puppy and a baby yesterday.
Oh, well, that's it's really good news, because we know how concerned he is about the baby's dying. Yeah, Danny, come on, join, call in, give it a go. Anyone, World Crypto Network, or call 1-518-600-1949. Is that the American technique? Is that how you do it? Or because you just like 1-800?
Now that you say it in a British accent, everyone's going to call in. Before I was keeping it uncovered because I wasn't using a British accent, but now it's blown out to everyone. It's totally blown. Secret. Our secret isn't as safe anymore. No,
well, we can maybe play tally sticks with our tally coin.
Yeah, you have to call on the telly. You have to say ring us on the telly, Blommy.
Blimey, old coddler. Here we go.
All right, we got a call.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Danny Brewster.
Hey, Danny. Where are you calling from today?
Cold and wet England.
Cold and wet England. Does it come any other way?
Yeah, grey.
Oh, what's going on, Dan? What's on your mind about crypto today?
Same shit, different day. Bad language. But it's good to see BitMain suffering. And Roger Ver is only influential because he's rich, and hopefully he has been a little bit wrecked. So when he does give up his Bcash project, he'll come back to Bitcoin with less influence.
Will it be like the coming of Christ, the second coming, like Roger returning back as Bitcoin Jesus?
Well, the second.
Do you think he'd be welcomed?
Is kind of apt.
I think he's going to come back, but he doesn't get to keep his title. I don't think you get your title after that. I think the Bitcoin Jesus, that's now goes back out to anybody. Somebody recently tried to call Andreas Bitcoin Jesus. Of course, he got all mad. He's don't offend the religious people. No metaphors in this world. Don't make any metaphors near me. But yeah, they're just trying to say nice things about him with a metaphor. But What do you think, Danny? Who's the new Bitcoin Jesus if we're going to get rid of Roger?
I don't
Well,
think me and Andreas have some checkered history, but that is what it is. But we certainly shouldn't have individuals put up on a plinth, worship them like gods. We've seen it's happened already, even with like Gavin Andresen and things. He was great, and then he went and visited the CIA, and it's happened throughout the history of Bitcoin already. We don't need to do it. Bitcoin doesn't need idols. Bitcoin just needs people that are going to use it and build around it. So,
yeah.
I think that'd be good. Dan, who's your nomination for the new Bitcoin Jesus? It's now an elected position.
Well, I after seeing people get angry yesterday about being called a Bitcoin Jesus, I don't know. I don't want to put anyone on the pedestal. I think Danny's right there. I mean, we need no leaders. I mean, it's a democracy, and there's obviously a lot of big names in crypto, but I don't think there should be an overarching, this person's word is the gospel. And the reason is because if that person goes crazy, then that's going to take Bitcoin with it. So the few people that we have that are representing, Bitcoin, I think the better. And that goes to stand for me. I'm just I like Bitcoin and stuff, but I wouldn't want people taking my opinion or your opinion or one person's opinion. It's about a consensus of opinion, and that's what Bitcoin's built on, consensus.
Well, if the internet is a religion, why can't Bitcoin be part of the internet as a religion? And I think you do have to have that kind of faith to go into this long term and to believe in this through the crazy rolls of this log chart, through the media saying it's dead all the time, through everyone saying, no, wait, stop everything. This is the new Bitcoin. It's faster. It's got smart contracts. It's got a Turing complete machine. This is the one. That keeps happening. It does seem a little religious the way people have these awakenings. Like I knew Bob before he was a Ripple head. Oh, that's interesting.
The whole definition of faith is the belief in something in the absence of evidence. We've seen that Bitcoin works. Every 10 minutes, a block is produced roughly every 10 minutes. Sorry. So it is so not a religion. There is very much cultish-like behavior around it. But that's always going to happen with anything, even looking at football or soccer to anybody that's American. I'm a huge Liverpool fan, and it's really cultish. It's the same with any sport. As soon as there's anybody with a common interest, it can quickly turn into cultish-like behavior. And all you have to do is look at the sock puppet army for a Ripple, and it's crazy. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin doesn't care. It's just going to keep on producing block after block after block, regardless of who's using it and everything. So,
well, I think that was a great religious defense there, Danny. You start off and you're like, yeah, every religion is based on faith, but Bitcoin is real. Blocks are produced every 10 minutes. Bitcoin works.
The evidence.
Go ahead, Danny. Sorry.
That is literally the evidence that Bitcoin is existing, is the blocks being produced every 10 minutes.
Yeah. It is. It's romantic. It's beautiful. And it does just keep existing without a company, a government, a corporation, or a central bank. It keeps producing and upholding the rules of this monetary system, for lack of a better word. What do you think, Dan? Should we get religious about Bitcoin?
Well, it is already, very cultish at the moment. I think everyone, kind of is not just believing in the technology, but they also are believing in their own investment. So you don't want to, crap on your backyard, crap on your doorstep, whatever the saying is. Never get high on your own supply, or no. I like getting.
Don't shit where you live. Don't
shit
where you live or eat. Don't shit where you live or eat.
So even people don't want to shit on their Bitcoin. You see this even more with shitcoins. People getting extremely defensive because someone's insulted the power of EOS. and and then I don't know if you've seen recently, but the XRP shills, like there's literally like there are armies of bots. It's quite interesting. And if you say anything bad against XRP, and you upset a lot of people, and they get really upset.
It's much like a cult. If you have a smaller religion, you feel you don't get that respect. Your God is one of the smaller gods. And you're like, no, my God is the real God. He's the one. They say, David says in the chat, Bitcoin still needs a Moses that parts the Red Sea. But even Moses passed away and needed Aaron to hold up his arms during battle. That sounds like a Weekend at Bernie's type theme there. I'll say not just Moses. I tell you, in the when we were at all the blockchain conferences, I went to one in Frankfurt and I went to one in Malta.
Genesis.
There it is. Dan's got the book.
Reading the book of Genesis right here.
R. Crumb, nice choice. But when we were in Malta and when we were in Frankfurt, we were surrounded by all these blockchain people, and they were very excited to be blockchain people. And they thought it was great, and they didn't care about Bitcoin at all, and they kind of thought we were all idiots. But still, to see all these people, what I thought we needed was a Jesus clearing the money changers out of the temple. I don't know if you guys have read the Bible or seen the movie, but there's a scene where Jesus comes back and he finds all these people exchanging money inside of the temple, not like outside in the bazaar, but inside the walls, inside the holy palace of God or what have you. And he throws them out and he overturns their tables and he spreads the change and the coins everywhere. Everyone's mad at him. I was feeling the same way. I was like, no, get your blockchains out of here. You've had enough blockchains. The Bitcoin is the only blockchain, all this stuff. But I didn't, because that would have been super rude. And they're all like fancy rich people. And I'm just a idiot not understanding what's going on in this world. But
so let me set the scene. Yeah, it's a Bitcoin dev meeting. Andreas is doing a talk, and someone started trading shitcoins. Do you think he would pull a Jesus? Hypothetically,
Andreas is a shitcoiner.
He is an Ethereum fan. He did master Ethereum after he mastered Bitcoin. Controversial.
The cover of Mastering Ethereum is literally covered in bugs.
I know. It's a metaphor. It's in there.
It's actually got bugs on it, which is quite fitting.
Well, I'm sure Andreas gets the same question that we get everywhere, and it's kind of phrased differently. But it's like, what about my favorite altcoin? Is that one okay? You're like, no, they're not okay. They're not. Well, maybe they're okay, but they're not as good as Bitcoin. But I'm sure he gets that question quite a lot. People say, Sanjay says, I hate XRP and it's like the plague, but something tells me that some very powerful people are behind it and want it to replace the dollar as a form of international foreign exchange in 5 to 10 years. So it is interesting. Ripple, of course, I thought about Ripple years ago. I was like, oh, I should buy that stupid garbage. And then I was like, oh, do I want to get rich on the bank coin? And I was like, no. And then I didn't get rich. And then I should have bought the Ethereum and smart contract garbage and didn't buy that. And even now I'm not buying Ripple. But no, it does seem like it's pretty questionable what the value of Ripple is. And then there's a whole confusion as to whether or not the company owns XRP, or XRP is an independent token, but they have 60% of it locked up because they pre-mine so much of it. They pre-mined the whole thing, as I recall, and then they just let it circulate. It doesn't have any mining or anything like that. So I don't know.
They lost the first 32,000 blocks as well.
They cut them off.
Nobody has lost record of the first 32,000 Ripple block.
They should have put it on a blockchain. Everyone knows that.
The annoying thing is that so I used to work I did a decade as a business analyst working in a finance company in London, and in the treasury team, and I couldn't get anyone into Bitcoin or taking Bitcoin seriously. But then after I left, I went back, and they were like, yeah, so this was mid 2017, and they were saying, yeah, so not really interested in this Bitcoin, but Ripple's the corporate version. And I'm like, oh man, you really don't know. No, honestly, it's not. And they're like, no, Bitcoin's for drug dealers. This Ripple is going to be used by the banks. And it was like one of those funny memes where they're all patting each other on the bank. They're all saying, and they probably all got rich from Ripple, annoyingly. But yeah, from a corporate perspective, they use, bank terms, and suddenly everyone goes, wow, yeah, okay, well, we should listen to this. And they kind of like the fact that it's distance from Bitcoin.
I think Danny was going to say something there, but we lost him or something.
I had some Ripple representatives come and see me in Cyprus at the end of 2013, and their pitch hasn't changed a bit.
That is funny. I watched this old World Crypto Network video from the other day, and it was called like the altcoin spectacular, and it was the first time we had Chris Ellis on, and he was talking about Feathercoin. Franco was talking about Franco Coin. He now does Expanse, and this other guy was there talking about Litecoin, and he was just representing Litecoin. I think his name's Jerry, and it was all the same things as today's altcoins. They're like, oh, it's a little faster than Bitcoin. It uses a different algorithm. Chris's thing with Feathercoin is like, at Feathercoin, we focus on the community first. And that was what made Feathercoin different. And then that idea was kind of taken by Dogecoin, and then Dogecoin became very popular. You probably haven't heard of Feathercoin, but the idea was there before Doge. Mm-hmm. And then with the Litecoin guy, yeah, it was the same thing. And then the Franco coin, of course, I love Franco, but he invented his own coin. He named it after himself. It was kind of not that much of a serious thing, but he made the supply really small because he talked to his economics professor, and he said, oh, well, small supply, high value. And so it's trying to be one of those. And even now we see people getting excited about these small supply things, and they think that's going to make 42. All the difference. Yeah, 42 coin or one ONE coin that had only one. There's only one coin. So all these things happening, but that was again years and years ago. But you're right, Danny. The altcoins haven't changed at all. It does seem like it's the same selling point.
The whole space is just cyclical, including like the Bitcoin market itself, and it's same shit, different day.
Yeah,
all
definitely.
Right,
well, time again.
I think we've come full circle. Thanks so much, Danny, for the call. Good hanging out with you, man. Definitely check in.
Cheers, Danny. Are you doing anything cool in crypto, by the way?
Oh, no, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
But thanks again, Danny, for calling. Remember, if you want to call us now, you can call us at Bitcoin Talk at World Crypto Network, all one word, on Skype, or at 518-600-1949. Looking, there it is. Get the graphic back up. There it is. There's the graphic with the words. But thanks to Danny for calling all the way from England, breaking our streak of no calls today. See, it's not so hard to call in. You just, say what you think's going on in Bitcoin and blockchain. Danny has a good point on the thing being cyclical, because I remember the whole blockchain madness of 2014. All right, I remember we went through a phase, and people are like, "Yeah, this Bitcoin's cool, but that blockchain might be cooler than Bitcoin. That might be really the thing." And then it went away, and we went through ICOs and Ethereums and altcoins and all these kind of things. And then now we're back at Bitcoin, and they're back at the altcoins. So
now, one thing is that I do actually know Danny from previous conferences, and one thing that he does he's implementing at the moment, which is really cool, is a Bitcoin proof of stake, a Bitcoin point of sale system called Fast Bitcoin. So that should be rolling out soon, helping shops take some Bitcoin payments. So check it out, guys. Fast Bitcoins.
All right. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey. What's up, Thomas? This is Crypt Loco. I'm calling from Mexico. I actually wanted to call because I wanted to do a couple of, because I was in the chat earlier, and when you guys were talking about mining, there was just a couple of things that I think are really fundamental to the ecosystem that I wanted to clarify, because I think it is really interesting, and I think it's something that doesn't really come up that often. So specifically, what I'm thinking of is this thing about BitMain. I mean, right now we're not at a point where we have a really good, as a miner, as someone who even flirts with the idea today of doing any kind of mining, the chip size and the availability of supply for alternatives to BitMain, I'm sorry, is really low. So so what I mean by that is, like, if you were to go to Dragon Mint, or you were to go to any of these other websites, Obelisk is a really good one, because Obelisk might be one of the best mining companies in principle, because they have hash boards that you can actually change out. So they're developing new things, but we're really not there yet. It's like the Lightning Network or something. It's just not there. So BitMain, I could go on a BitMain's website, and I can have a miner here in a couple of days, and that miner is going to be maybe a couple $100. But if you go try and buy a Dragon Mint miner right now, versus an S9, you're going to spend more money, and it's possible that you might even have a minimum order quantity. So from a standpoint of somebody who's trying to be just, I want to have some skin in the game, I just want to run a miner. Right now, unfortunately, it's true that BitMain has better miners, but the S9 right now, I know that theoretically, we always hear this news because we're so into the news. Every week there's some new mining company, a GMO or something. But if you look at their product offerings, it's basically like, unless you got in early and you waited 6 months and you ordered 15 units, then you're probably not really, I mean, it's a theoretical thing. So in the future, yes, mining will probably uh, uh, be more distributed across different vendors. But my point was that BitMain gets a bad rap because they probably just the fact that, like I said, they're correlated with the mining profitability. So because the mining profitability goes down, then their treasure chest or whatever they have of Bitcoin will be worth less. So it's and then they have less miner sales. So the main thing, though, that I think that really BitMain, the real story of the day, is that BitMain shot themselves in the foot, just like everybody else is, because of KYC and AML. So it's very anti-Bitcoin, but that is, in my opinion, I would not buy a miner. I would buy an S9 on eBay, which is it'll be 14 terahash. So like 14 terahash, if you can get maybe 17, you can tweak that with the Brains OS to get maybe like 17 terahash. And right now, at this point in time, you could probably get, a really cheap miner on eBay, and run it at 17 terahash for as long as you could. And I think that right now we don't see a lot of competitors in the market that are actually moving units. They might be moving units inside, or might be mining themselves. But that was the point that I just wanted to bring up, because I noticed that, and I also noticed that the the whole thing about, in general, I think, oh man, it's interesting, because I think about the Lightning Network the same way. I think about the Lightning Network in terms of, we always want to think ahead too far. But what I've started to realize is, I think just like Newton, he had a great theory. Like, I'm talking Bitcoin as a whole, because we have certain misconceptions, like the halvening is going to result in a higher price. And we're thinking about it from one perspective. But actually, really, the mining profitability will actually result in a reduced hash rate, as your guest said earlier, is my personal opinion. I think theoretically, if you look at a chart or something and you just put the data in there and run the simulations, I think what you would see is that there's not because the total supply is always going to be 21 million. So if miners are making less, that just means that unless there's more demand and higher fees, which we've already said through years and years and years of complaining that we don't want higher fees, then what we're looking at is either something that's going to be very cumbersome for the end user, because they're going to have to pay higher fees than any other network, or we're in a situation where miners are just dropping off and the hash rate falls. So that brings me to the main point that I wanted to make, which is sort of, I think there's a lot of things stacking up right now that, as a community, it makes sense for us to start thinking about things. Like I said, that Newton's theories worked for a really long time. until Einstein came around. And then Einstein had ideas that were compatible with Newton's ideas, but that looked at them in a different way. So as to create new possibilities so that the field of physics could grow and expand. And I think right now we all in Bitcoin have our own perspective on all these different aspects of Bitcoin, whether it be mining, whether it be investing, whether it be even just full nodes or whatever. And I think that that is what brings me to my final point, which is that I think that I don't know anything in the world, in the natural world, where there's only one of anything. I know that I dig into the Austrians a lot because as a card-carrying philosopher myself, I've read Rothbard. I've read these things. I like to act like I don't read at all because I don't want to reveal too much about myself. But I will say that.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, don't. I don't want to because I just want to come into the conversation because everybody comes into the conversation thinking that they know everything, and I think that those of us in the Bitcoin community that remember Alphabet ads on Bitcoin Uncensored know that there was a time in Bitcoin where there was a community of people that had fun with the technology and were able to laugh at themselves. But my point is that there's no such thing in the human world as one of anything except the world itself. So you have men and women, you have Visa, MasterCard, Diners Club, you have everywhere you look, there's different countries, there's different governments, there's different ways of doing family parties. There's all kinds of different diversity is abound in every regard in our lives. And so the reason I bring up this Newtonian vision of the universe versus an Einsteinian vision of the universe is that, and you could even throw Bohr's in there and say, quantum mechanics. We still haven't figured out how to reconcile. I mean, maybe string theory or whatever. But anyway, I don't need to get too much.
We got to slow down from string theory. Let's go back to that. But let's start going backwards where you were first. We were saying first, there's not only one of anything, right? But there is kind of a best practices. There's a best way to do things. If you think about evolution, the eye, the way that the eye works, taking in light, flipping it over, converting it into electrical impulses at a very basic level, whatever it does. The eye has been designed hundreds of thousands of times, and it always comes down to about the same. Our eyes are similar to cats' eyes, are similar to insects' eyes, slightly different, so on and so forth. There's an optimal version of the eye. So I'd say in that way, Bitcoin is this optimal version of a currency. So it is very possible, but there will be one Bitcoin because of the way money works. It works better when you have one money, right? That's just the simple way it works better. The same thing like they're saying in the chat, internet. It works better when we have one internet. There were different ideas. We could have had second and third internets. There could have been an internet for Europe, but then we couldn't play video games together, right? We can't all be on the same network. They didn't even think it was possible, I don't think technically, for us to be on the same network, for this thing to work, yet it does. So I think Bitcoin, the technology, keeps getting better till it works for everyone. Then it works for everyone. Before that, we talked about mining and we talked about BitMain. I'm not so sure that there is really a reason for home mining anymore. I know everyone gets really excited about it and they're like, oh, I'm into Bitcoin now. I'm going to get a computer and that computer is going to print me money. And I got to get me my money printing computer. Maybe I can just use my current computer. I'll just install a program and I'll be printing money. Awesome, right? It's totally, I know why people get into it. I know why it goes up and down, and I know why I couldn't hear any of my movies for like 6 months to a year because there's miners running in the background. So those are the home miners, right? And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate, especially I think the smaller chains, Ethereum, things below that, they really appreciate you guys. They appreciate the graphics cards and the rigs and everything that you're making. You really are making those coins possible. But with Bitcoin, I really think for now and until the end of time, Bitcoin is going to be mined in giant warehouses by professional companies. The professional company doesn't have to sell to make their electricity costs. They have to sell based upon a schedule. So they say, well, we have enough money for 2 years of electricity and we're going to sell every 6 months. Whatever it is, they have a schedule. They stick to that. If it works, They keep mining. They make lots of money. They're a business. If it doesn't work, they stop mining. They lose lots of money. They're a bad business. I think that's how mining's going to be. I think what we need to focus on as home users is running a node. We need to run nodes at home. And yeah, it's not as fun. You don't make any money for running a node. Maybe that is part of a problem in Satoshi's design. You need to make money from running a node. Maybe there's not enough incentive for nodes. But I think put your energy into noding. Let's go. Crypt Loco, are you still there? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm not trying to be a shitcoin, pumper or anything. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that the mining, so mining at home is like I use, for instance, Brains OS because I'm trying to learn Brains OS. I'm doing development, so I wouldn't recommend mining at home as some kind of a get rich overnight, and as any more than any other facet of Bitcoin, whether it be running a node, as you're saying, you're not going to make any money running a node. You're probably going to lose money because you're taking a bandwidth on your local network, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea is that every one of us that is looking at a different perspective of Bitcoin, we have something that we're geeking out on. And so we're geeking out on, and that's good. But I guess all I was trying to say was just that I think that we're due for a restructuring of our perspective, and I don't know how that's going to happen, but it's something to keep in mind because as I hear news, like for instance, like I said, the BitMain thing, I mean, it's easy, like, or attacking Roger or anything that goes on. I just think about it differently, and I think that there needs to be contrarian views in the ecosystem. But I'll leave you with this because I know there's probably other callers. You can also check out all of my stuff on at Tales from the Crypto.
I think he's saying Tales from the Crypto, Crypt Loco. It says he's on hold. So are you still there?
Yeah, I just want to leave you with this to lighten it up a little bit, and then I'll move on. But I was thinking about this for the reasons I was just saying, and I was thinking because we want to onboard new users, I came up with a song that we can start to use to whenever anybody gets confused, because it's going to be really more and more confusing as there's more forks, and we got to know the audience that we're trying to get through to. So the song goes like this. It goes BTC do 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 BCH do 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 BTC do 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 BSV. They're not the same. So that's my song. I don't know if that can go viral or what, but I just think that that we need to start thinking at that level of like, if we really want to appeal to like the masses, that's the kind of, because that has like 5 billion views or something.
That does sound pretty good. We need songs explaining that Bitcoin is not the same and there's different versions of Bitcoin. There's a different response in the chat. You're getting a 10 out of 10, 3 no's, baby shark. My ears are bleeding.
No, but trust me, as I'm saying it, my ears are bleeding as well. But that's why I just work on my individual stuff for the most part. These are just thoughts that come.
Yeah, man. Keep it rocking.
Right.
If you got ideas, follow them through, man. I like it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Crypt Loco, for the call. Give us a call anytime.
Nice work.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon, man. All right. Remember, you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. Dan, what do you think? You like this song? Are you going to expand it?
It's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. You know me, I love my crypto music. But yeah, I think one thing that is certain is that this confusion between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash is really not good for the ecosystem. And actually, so I was working with a payment crypto payment processor the other day, and trying to get them to connect and work with a website that's got services, and they want to accept crypto, and the guy from the non-crypto site said, hey, we were just about to jump on the development, and we realized, we checked your website and we realized that it said you've delisted, or you don't longer have Bitcoin anymore. And we had to explain that was actually referring to removing Bitcoin Cash from the payment processor because of the forking reasons. But they thought that Bitcoin was now gone, you know, and that's a big, massive issue. People really misunderstanding what Bitcoin is, what Bitcoin Cash is, and the differences, the nuances between them. And it's not good for the ecosystem. And yeah, it's harsh. I do think to myself, just imagine where we'd be, forgetting about price, but just imagine where we'd be right now if the crap with BCH hadn't have happened last year and Roger was still in Bitcoin, and even you know Professor Faust, whatever, Craig Wright was still in Bitcoin. Imagine if all those forces, rather than wasting it away, like going in fighting, imagine if the guys were the same cause. It's incredible. So
yeah, it would have been incredible, but we had no choice, and they had other plans. Remember, it was always we were trying to stay together and get the Bitcoin people united and to stay together, but that was not their plan. They were trying to make lots of money, and kind of by printing those other two currencies and whatever happened, they did make lots of money. So they invented and printed money once again. Everyone gets into this game to stop the printing of money, and they were like, "Oh wait, but just one more time for me." See what else we had going on here on Twitter. I was checking out a cool infographic about BTC Pay Server, explaining how it's different than BitMain, and that BitMain is its own thing. And sorry, not BitMain, BitPay. BitPay years ago said something mean to this guy, and he said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm just going to program my own open source version of what you do and wipe you out of business." And it's going pretty well. You can use BTC Pay Server right now if you're a business. Then you don't have to put your money through BitPay. As it says here, it's private. There's no middleman. A company like BitPay might even be trying to make their money just by selling who you transact with, just by selling the transaction data of your users. But you wouldn't know that because you're just using BitPay. So shout out to BTC Pay Server. Like I said, it's a 1-year anniversary of the day CNBC jinxed Bitcoin. Bitcoin will hit a record of 19,000. Here's how to buy it. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
BTC.
Hey, how's it going?
I know that voice.
Everybody's singing a song today.
How are you, Thomas?
Hey, Nindy, how's it going?
Hey,
Oh, good.
yo, Nindy.
Hey, how are you? How are you, that boy?
Ah,
Good.
it's an all UK show. We got Danny Brewster on. We got Dan. We got Nindy. Got everybody.
Yeah, the UK's taking over now.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
boys.
all of Bitcoin. Wow.
So did you take CNBC's advice and buy Bitcoin at 19,000?
Yeah.
Nindy?
Not advising to sell.
I know they just can't seem to get it right. They don't make their people any money. That's bad. It's bad for the readers of their magazine.
Yeah, I think we should all concentrate on the technology and not worry about the price too much. I mean, these fluctuations, these highs and lows, are going to carry on happening as we go up the adoption curve slowly. But we should look at the technology and not worry about it.
How do we keep spreading the technology when the price is down? How do I go to someone new and I say, well, I lost my life savings in Bitcoin, but I think you should try it.
Well, I think it's difficult when people see the price going down, but what they really need is education. They need to realize how the fiat system works, how central banking works, and how it is mathematically proven that all fiat will die. And the next best thing is probably gold, but you can't send gold across the network. So the best thing is Bitcoin.
I think it really does change things for people when you get them to try it. When you get them to send $1 from here to there and you say, okay, we sent that value. Could have been, sure, it was just here in this room, but we could have sent it across the world. We could have sent it to anybody, and we didn't use any government corporation or central bank to do it. It takes a while maybe for people to think about that because they haven't thought about how much of their money, how much of their cash, etc., flows through these systems and is easily monitorable and controlled and could be frozen or stopped at any time. But if you can just show them the ability of sending that Bitcoin around, then say, you know, well, it cost us 50 cents or whatever, but it would cost us 50 cents if we wanted to send 1 million or 10 million. Of course, that's not a problem we have right now, but but yeah, I think showing it to them is still a good demonstration because, like you say, it is on your phone. It's internet money. It's like a Snapchat for money.
I also think that wallet providers ought to make wallets easier to use. You know, the UX and UI ought to be improved.
Yeah.
Because you know, geeks can easily understand a wallet, but you know, a new person that's never used Bitcoin, it's difficult to understand. You know, how to send Bitcoin sometimes.
It is. Most of the wallets don't make any sense, and some have too much KYC or not enough, or even just kind of sensible limits. Like the first time you turn on the account, you shouldn't have to put on all your information. Once you have 20 bucks in there, maybe you put your email in. Once you have 100 bucks in there, maybe you have to KYC, you have to put your bank account in. Once you have 1,000 bucks in there, maybe you have to 2FA. Whatever it is, there should be some kind of limits on this. Instead, we hit them all right in the beginning. We're like, welcome to Bitcoin. Everyone's going to steal your money, so you're going to need 2FA. You're going to want to be able to invest and take your money in and out, so you're going to have to link it to a bank and put all of your personal information into your phone right now so that you can use this independent cryptocurrency. It's a pretty hard sell to use the Coinbase app these days. Maybe the Cash App's a little better, but still.
Yeah, I've never really liked Coinbase. Yeah. I was listening to your discussion about shitcoins earlier on. And I think I'm, you know, I'm not a big fan of shitcoins, even though I'm invested in a few shitcoins. I think eventually Bitcoin will be so strong, and the blockchain will be so strong that, you know, Bitcoin has the ultimate security when it comes to blockchains, and there'll be tokens that are side chains onto on the Bitcoin blockchain that will provide essentially what Ethereum provides nowadays. You know, like a Turing complete programming environment.
But with the security of Bitcoin.
Exactly, with the security of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I see the Bitcoin blockchain having 10,000 side chains, you know, all running together. That's the way I see it. And maybe, you know, shitcoins will be around in a very niche, specialized format. But I can see most of the projects not, you know, not carrying on or transferring to a sidechain kind of project.
Sounds great, man. Sounds amazing. We'll have to see when we can get there. It's going to take a while, though. They're saying in the chat, J Card says, "Welcome to Bitcoin. The only place you can get it is on an exchange, but that's the least secure. So get it off there and buy a cold storage." Oh shit! It went down 80%. Welcome to blockchain, though. It's pretty much what we're selling these days. It's a tough sell. Once again, though, if you can learn these tools, if you can learn how to send it around like you send around email. I used to use email in the early 90s, and there was no one to email, and it was worthless. And I didn't get any receipts or any airline information. I didn't get any cool email back in the day. It was just boring little messages we type up and send around. But it was cool. I knew how to use email. Years later, when I had to use email for work, I was ready to go. So in the same way, you don't know how to use Bitcoin right now. You should go in, get a wallet, get 20 bucks, send it from here, send it to there, send it to an exchange, try to lose it, try to gain it, practice now with 20 bucks. And then in the future, you'll know how to use Bitcoin. So that's a good investment for 20 bucks.
Yeah, good. Hey, I wanted to ask Dan, how's the rapping going? Are you bringing out any new songs?
Soon. I've got a few tasks. Hotel Polo obviously was out a while back. One that's working on quite at the moment that Tom also hopefully will be getting involved in it's extremely cheesy. It's really cheesy, very theatrical, and actually Samson Mouse just recently got involved with it as well, and he's it's going to be a surprise. It's for the Bitcoin birthday, so that's going to be the new song coming out.
Oh, wow.
But individual songs, yeah, I've got a few in my task list, that's for sure.
Interesting. Can't wait. Okay,
Also,
guys, nice to speak to you, and I'll see you soon.
all right. Thanks so much, Nindy, for the call.
Thanks for calling, Nindy. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
We're also hoping that Dan gets a Tallycoin fundraiser going, and we convinced Dan to fly all the way to Las Vegas. So if you want to see some Crypto Raptor Mad Bitcoins videos on Las Vegas, we'll have Dan's Tallycoin up soon, and then we can donate to it. Right, Dan? That's what I think we should do.
I think so, and I think that we need to start working on our Bitcoin Disney album.
Yeah, we need to redo a lot of the Disney classics. Everyone's changing them into live action films now. We'll change them into what the Disney creators originally wanted, which was, of course, songs about Bitcoin. Very few people know, but all of these Disney movies originally were about Bitcoin. 101 Dalmatians, 101 Bitcoin. They had to change the title.
The block and the chain, like the sword and the stone.
The block and the chain. The lady and the Bitcoin. Yes. There have been many great Disney classics, all with Bitcoin in the name. But we need to work
Satoshi
on
Hontis.
Satoshi Hontis. Help us in the chat come up with more names about Bitcoin. The Emperor's New Coin. That's easy. Aladdin.
The little block size.
Little block size.
The little block size. The Little Mermaid.
Beauty and the Bitcoin. The little blockchain. And she's like, I'm just a little blockchain underwater trying to make my way through this world. Cinderella bit. Alice in Bitcoin land. The rescuers of Bitcoin. I was thinking recently I need to change it, but that classic image out there. Oh no, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna do my own meme. Ha! Undercover. Back to the Bitcoin. How do I sue Satoshi Nakamoto? That's a good point. They make Nakamoto. Got to sue him. It's his fault that the Bitcoin price is down. Why come Bitcoin price down? But we do want to open up for maybe one more phone call, Dan, before we head towards the end of this show. Let's see. Do we have any stories left in the Twitter pile? Let's see. I'm going to try that one more time. Dan, do you have a Bitcoin address? We could create you a Tallycoin right on the air here. If you want to do that on your computer right now at tallyco.in, you can create a fundraiser with Bitcoin at Tallycoin. Let's see. Jay Rat.
That means I've got to get my ledger.
That's right. You've got to get everything ready, or just have an address, or we could do it later on Twitter. But if you do it now, we'll try to get your new Tallycoin up and start on the plans to bring Dan to Las Vegas. Crypto Raptors to Las Vegas. But Jay Ratcliffe writes, the most disappointing thing to me happening is Bitcoin when supposedly mature mainstream companies like Coinbase and Gemini fail to promote or fund Bitcoin development, including important layer 2 tech, and instead support con artists and worthless junk tokens. And he's got a Nicolas Cage reaction gif. A little face palm action there for people listening at home. But I agree with Jay Ratcliffe. It is disappointing to see Coinbase and Gemini kind of giving up on Bitcoin and investing into altcoins and other such nonsense. And even other coins they've said, like Airbit's Edge Wallet, they're not going to work on Lightning Network now. They're going to work on adding new coins. The General Bytes ATM company is working on adding new coins instead of fixing up and adding SegWit and adding Lightning and so on and so forth. So we are seeing that old poem by Yeats keep coming true, how the best have lost all conviction while the worst are full of a passionate intensity. So yes, these other coins do have the marketing department. They do have the business development people. They can get these websites to accept them. Even with Coinbase and probably Gemini, I think they're both digital currency group companies. So it is in their interest to help out the other companies in the portfolio and to accept their coins. So I think this is not the end of companies not supporting Bitcoin. Jay Ratcliffe gets a little more upset in his second comment. He says, "What the F is wrong with these people?" As my dog starts barking. They create entire businesses built on top of Bitcoin. But then instead of supporting Bitcoin with positive press and development stunts, they instead promote direct attacks on the Bitcoin network by complete frauds and con artists. And I think once again, this is just one of those things. We're on this epic quest of Bitcoin, and everyone knows all the original quest lore. You meet people that help you. You meet people that don't help you. You meet people that say they're helping you, but then don't help you. This is all common for a person on a quest like Bitcoin, which is really, going biblical, going hero's journey here. We are on the hero's journey of Bitcoin. Coinbase, Gemini, these look like early friends of Bitcoin. But when going got roughed, they just added a zillion altcoins to their exchanges and tried to make fees anywhere they could. They weren't a decent friend to Bitcoin at all. But that's how it is when you're on an adventure. It's going to go up and down. It's not going to be all that easy. So I think we just got to keep that in mind and keep going. Let's see. We've also got this great article from Kevin Drum. It's from motherjones.com. This is a liberal magazine in the United States. And it's funny, I have it scrolled down because they're fundraising right here. They need to raise $400,000. Maybe they should take.
So cute.
Um,
Maybe they should get better writers.
They really should, because they came up with the Bitcoin con may soon be over. And this guy's going on about how Bitcoin's dead. And mainly he's upset about it. He says, cryptocurrencies are inherently a dumb idea. Way to use the big word and the small word. You really impressed us. Give this man a quarter. He says, but aside from being a con, they also waste enormous amounts of energy in service of a pointless goal. The sooner Bitcoin crashes, the better off the entire world will be. So there's a lot to unpack there in that paragraph. Certainly the idea of sound money doesn't seem like a pointless goal to me. The idea of freeing the world from central banks and corporations and governments doesn't seem pointless to me. So but he could disagree. I mean, it's reasonable for him to disagree, although having no point at all is a bit tough. Also, it's a con, and it sounds like the dog's barking. So, Dan, I'm going to leave you in charge of Bitcoin is a big con. Why don't you tell the people about it, and I'll be right back.
Well, I think anyone who doesn't understand the technology thinks it's a con. And I often think to myself, coming from like an interest in science and skepticism, that when you see people in an area that's pseudoscience, they're all in a bit of an echo chamber, and they all think that they're onto this great, amazing thing that they need to tell the world about. And sometimes I think to myself, well, maybe I'm like that too. Maybe I'm that, all of us in crypto, we're in a little fishbowl. It is actually a con, and the technology's bad, or there's something, that makes it crap or whatever. But after 10 years, I think now it's just can't be true. I mean, they can't have gone under 10 years of scrutiny and still be there and still be going strong with a ridiculously huge uptime of like 99.99999%. Yeah, fair enough. There's a lot of economists and a lot of bankers that hate on Bitcoin, but at the same time, there's also a very rapidly growing number of people who really understand the technology. And one thing is for sure is that you kind of have to disregard any opinions that you have, or certainly what I do. Maybe it's a bad thing or a good thing, but I disregard anyone's opinion if they don't really have a proper understanding of the technology as well as the economics. Not that I have a great understanding of the economics, but if you don't understand the technology, then it will just look like vaporware money, and that is going to scare people off.
And we're seeing a good discussion of this in the chat too, where Jeremy's saying that he likes gaming, but obviously video games are a huge waste of time and a huge waste of energy. How dare we waste our time and energy, especially look at like Red Dead Redemption. People are working 100-hour weeks to bring us this video game so that we can waste our time. Obviously, that should be banned and made illegal. It's ruining the environment.
Very good point as well, Jeremy, on the consoles. So you do want to check it out, and it's very worth reading. But if you search for CoinShares and their Bitcoin mining report, I'll just read out an excerpt from the article, and it says, for reference, this is based on the fact that people are saying that, you know, Bitcoin's a waste of money and uses too much electricity and blah, 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 and it's got no real usage. So for reference, there are approximately 85 million PlayStation 4, 40 million Xbox One, and 50 million Nintendo Wii U consoles distributed among global households. Their weighted average gameplay power draw is around 120 watts. Assuming these gaming systems are played on a modern 40-inch LED TV drawing only 40 watts, played for 4 hours a day, so, you know, running hardcore 4 hours a day and then idling for 20 hours a day. I always used to, and always do, leave my consoles on. Badly used to do it because of folding at home, but so at a weighted average of 10 watt, they alone draw more power than the entire Bitcoin network. So that's based on 4 hours a day and idling for 20 hours a day. So that's using more electricity than Bitcoin. I know that's producing people's kind of happiness, I suppose, but at the end of the day, this is producing a service. It's running a service, and not just any service, the most secure service on earth that hasn't been hacked and is nearly 10 years evolved, not 10 years old. It's a nearly 10 years evolved system.
And people are always, we should just get rid of this. It's a new technology. I don't understand it. We should get rid of it. It's wasting power. But of course, they would have said that about the internet, but the internet brought us many good things, many bad things, said that about computers, said that about going to the moon, all these kind of things. Whenever we have a revolution or an evolution in technology, it does waste power. Think about all the companies that didn't succeed. They all wasted power. Capitalism is very wasteful. We have competition between two companies. If there wasn't Pepsi and Coke, there'd be just Coke. Obviously, Pepsi is wasting power compared to Coke. If we just had Coke, there'd be less power being made in you know, soft drinks, so on and so forth. It's pretty simple to break things this way. Check out Jack, the man from Twitter, @Jack, put out some eyeballs and said, "Look at that Cash App on the top charts, above YouTube." Go YouTube, and above Burger King and even Instagram. Pretty cool. So check that out at Cash App. And it's kind of nice, as opposed to telling people to go to Coinbase. If I tell people to go to Cash App, I don't have to worry about them coming home with Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin or any kind of cryptocurrency that just happened to be cheaper than Bitcoin, not necessarily better than Bitcoin. A friend of mine had a issue a while ago where he was given some Bitcoin Cash. And I said, well, you should sell those for real Bitcoin. You know, that's my opinion. And, you know, sure, everything went down in price since then, but Bitcoin Cash went down more. So sometimes it is worth making that change. Sometimes there is a difference in those units. We've got a great quote from @CryptoQuotation. He says, Bitcoin's biggest enemy is apathy. Bear markets tend to make the ignorant and uninformed lose interest. To accelerate adoption, our goal is to educate the masses on Bitcoin's real value proposition, sound money, unseizability, decentralization, and lower their time preference as a result. Monsieur Mahmoud. Mahmoudadou. Sorry, I'm terrible at names, but beautiful quotation. What do you think, Dan? Is that good? Mahmoudov. Very good.
It is. It's a great quotation. It's a great one. There's actually one I like from Richie Rich in the chat as well. And they said, if you're not in the Bitcoin cult, you're in the banking cult. It's that simple. I like that.
That's fair enough. Let's see. We got anything else from Twitter? Oh yeah, we've got Stuart Brand, president of the Long Now Foundation. Sorry, is spreading a great story about the Engelbart demo, ARPA funding. One small team, one revolution, a permanent one. And there's this great Wired article going around about how Doug Engelbart came up with many of the ideas of modern computing, windowed operating systems, even using a display, using a keyboard, and of course, using a mouse. We have a little video here from Twitter. On this day in 1968, the first demo of the computer mouse. You can see the cursor moving around on the screen. It's amazing.
Wow.
It looks like a bug or something, but that little buggy thing moving around, that cursor, that is a mouse.
What is really interesting is that 1968, so that's what 50 years ago. God, my math is terrible. We're still using a mouse, and it's still almost the same design as it was. That's what I find really interesting. You think how much computers have advanced, how much technology's advanced, almost everything around you, especially things like mobile phones. But a simple mouse has been so effective that we're still using it in almost exactly the same design.
And no one else had this idea but him. It said in the article they had little laser pens, they had little pointers, they had other ideas on how they were going to do this, but this putting it in your hand, flipping it upside down so that it points at the table was a wholly new idea that he came up with, and they're calling this the mother of all demos because he demoed the mouse, he demoed the screen, he demoed the keyboard. Even these ideas all later went to Xerox, and Xerox PARC developed them, and then later Microsoft and Apple both stole from Xerox. But originally they all stole from this guy. This is the founder and the beginning of modern computing. So definitely check out that article, how Doug Engelbart pulled off the mother of all demos. And it's pretty much everywhere on the internet. I'm sure you'll see it. The price of Bitcoin is $3,363.08. You could always join the Mad Bitcoins Patreon today and gain access to a rare behind-the-scenes video that has only been viewed 11 times. You could be one of the 12 people to see this video if you join Mad Bitcoins Patreon at patreon.com/madbitcoins. Remember, you can subscribe with your credit card, pay as little as $2 a month. That's cheap. Recently, well, we lost a patron. We went down. We have 57 patrons supporting the show with $368 a month. So if you'd like to donate, that would really help out the show. We've also got our tally coin for the Mad Bitcoins fundraiser. Bring Mad Bitcoins home from Malta, Frankfurt. He's stuck. He's stuck in Europe. Bring him home. Donate. No one understands that. But this is just our donation fundraiser from the end of the Europe trip. We filmed a lot of great interviews in Europe. If you appreciated our interviews in Europe, please donate either with Bitcoin on the tally coin, or if you don't keep any Bitcoin in a hot wallet, they're all safe in a cold wallet, locked up, safe. You can always subscribe at Patreon. Just check that out. Everyone's saying, yes, Patreon is banning some conservative people. But if you don't want to use Patreon, you can always support with Bitcoin on Tallycoin. So check it out. Yes, the people banned from Patreon for whatever reason should use Bitcoin. It's absurd that they don't. And you should always have, if you have, I don't want to say questionable, but I want to say not mainstream political views, you should always be prepared to be kicked off of these platforms. I'm currently using Google, YouTube, Twitter, all of these at the pleasure of those services. Certainly, I talk about Bitcoin. It's not that controversial yet, or for whatever reason. So I seem to be fine. These other people are talking about much more controversial ideas. You're free to do that, freedom of speech. But in the same way, Twitter's free to say, we don't want you speaking with our mouth. YouTube say, we don't want you speaking with our mouth. When you have extreme, or not even extreme, but non-mainstream views, you have to be kind of prepared for that. I think you also have to be kind of accepting of that. If YouTube decides they don't want this, then we'll go to another platform. And the same thing for that kind of speech. Oh, we got a donation right now, live while we're doing the show. Thanks so much to donor 0.00297258 for donating. And remember, if you want to have your own Tallycoin fundraiser, you can go to tallyco.in. All you need is a Bitcoin address and a goal, and you can create any kind of fundraiser you want. Tallycoin doesn't even take a cut. It's amazing technology. Dan, any luck creating your Tallycoin fundraiser, or might want to do this in the future?
Well, so I've generated an address from walletgenerator.net after doing some research as well on Bitcoin Talk. But I'm not cool with generating an address off a website. I think it's Well, it may be all good, but
you
maybe
could
I'm just
hold
really,
some coins
I'm
there
really paranoid.
temporarily if
Really
you want,
paranoid.
but otherwise you can get your ledger out. Maybe we'll announce it later in the day or on tomorrow's show. Maybe we should have a special Crypto Raptor support day. Did you put QR codes on your songs, by the way? I was going to ask now. Like you put the
No, I didn't. Although I did put an address on when I first put one of the YouTube videos up, and someone gave me 0.05 Bitcoin, the first donation. I was like, wow, that's awesome. Obviously, at one point that was like loads. But no, I haven't monetized yet. I thought I'd get into people's heads before I tried to get money.
All right. Well, it's always good to put a QR code on something in case people do want to donate. It makes it really easy. You can scan it with your phone. But we'll check that out tomorrow. We'll show you guys Dan's tally coin, and we'll have a Crypto Raptor day. Maybe we'll play some of the videos and see if you guys want to support Dan. The idea being that we could bring Dan to Las Vegas. Also, if you like the new Lifestyles of the Rich and Blockchain video, you might not recognize Dan because he's undercover in that video, but there's a lot of Dan in that video. And if we bring Dan to Las Vegas, we will make cool new videos for you. We just need to raise the money to get him here. So plane tickets. But thanks again to everybody for watching. I think we're heading towards the end of the show. Dan, where can people learn more about Crypto Raptor?
Well, so I'm still Cryptopoly on Twitter, at Cryptopoly, like crypto and monopoly, because the guy who has Crypto Raptor won't sell it to me without me sending him 1 Bitcoin first. And so, yeah, he won't even escrow. So at Cryptopoly on YouTube, on Twitter, but also can be found as Crypto Raptor and Crypto Raptor on YouTube. And check out Hotel Poloniex, or the Bitcoin rap, which is called the Crypto Rap, which Adam Back, proudest moment in my life, almost, was when he said that it was the best Bitcoin rap, which I love Adam Back, but I don't agree it's the best Bitcoin rap because there's some really good ones out there. But to hear that from Adam Back it was like a wow moment. So thank you, Adam, if you're watching. That was awesome.
Very cool. Check out Crypto Raptor all over YouTube and the internet. Thanks again to everybody who joined us in the chat. Thanks for giving us a thumbs up and a share. Remember to support the Patreon and to donate Bitcoin. And if you're having hard times, go ahead and call, call the suicide hotline, talk to your friends, get help. There is help out there. Let's take this a day at a time. Let's stay positive. Yeah. People are saying bear market till 2020. At least it has an end date. Bear market till halvening. At least there's an end date, or maybe even bear market forever. But remember, we had fun. We had a good time in crypto. We like Bitcoin. We think it's a good thing. Even if the price goes up and down, it's hard to separate those two ideas, but you can still be with us in the Bitcoin. If you were just in it for the price and it didn't go up, well, it's a bummer. But I'm sure you'll find something else to be in for just the price. There's lots of things out there. Update, the other day I announced the Little Drummer Boy game. If you guys haven't joined yet, it's a Burning Man classic. All you have to do is from now until Christmas, not hear the song Little Drummer Boy. If you hear the song Little Drummer Boy on the radio or at a department store over the loudspeaker, you lose. So, of course, I announced the game on, I think, Friday. I've been playing before. I already got knocked out before Thanksgiving, so I'm already on my second life. And boom, there it was right there on the radio, a nice slow version of Little Drummer Boy. I'm out again. So let me know in the chat. Let me know on Twitter if you're hanging in there, if you're not hearing the Little Drummer Boy, or if it's happened to you already. If you win, I don't know. I mean, if you win the ability to never listen to music in your area, you must be like a hermit or a recluse. You win my respect, because I'm not even sure it's possible. I think that it's such a popular song. They play it everywhere. I think you're like, I only listen to MP3s. I never listen to the radio. I never go to department stores. I never flip channels. Like, you're going to have to put a lot of protection on yourself to avoid this Little Drummer Boy song. So I don't want to mention that at the end. I had that written down to mention because, yeah, I lost already at least twice. At least twice. So it's a tough game. Check it out. People in the chat said they're playing with their family. So I think that could be fun. It's a fun game to play with your family. It's nice and inexpensive. It doesn't cost nothing. So until next time, we'll be back soon with another episode of Bitcoin Talk Show. Thumbs up and shares. Until next time. Bye-bye.